Good morning, everybody. My sinuses are kicking me in the rear this morning. You know what? Let me try and blow my nose one more time. What the heck? Boop. There we go. Let's get this morning started off right. Later. Good morning, everybody. Sorry about the sinuses here. Please hit the like if you haven't yet. You know it's going to be the free way to help out, especially this morning, because I am usually not on in the morning, but I wanted to hop on, talked about it last night. It's just going to be an open show today. All the stuff that we've missed out on, people wanted to bring up. We were just really deep diving into this Grub Truck hardcore, and we knocked it out in 4 episodes. I just didn't want to have to make it like a 6 or 7 or something. So that's why I'm on this morning. We're going to go ahead and give all you guys an opportunity to call in, open panel, whatever. We're going to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. We don't even have to talk about Idaho4. I know it's going to be the main topic. But at the same time, we don't have to talk about that either. It's all open topics, whatever. So, yes. Good morning, everybody. Let me say what's up. Jacqueline, good morning. Sussin, what's up? Katrina, good morning. Jackie, hi there, everyone. 1550 in the UK. Hope you are well. Thank you so much. Thanks for hopping in the show. Thank you for your kind words, and we hope you are well too. Good morning, Angela. One maiden nut buddy. What's up, man? Always love you hearing you on Dago, bro. Up if you want. What's up, Jesse? Marcy? T? Thank you for the kind words too, Jesse. I appreciate that on the comments. Dre, good morning, with the Dre Evil CJ coffee cup in the photo. I love that. Oh, Dre. Seems like so long ago, don't it? Seems like so long ago. The OG Dre. What's up, always and forever? Good morning. Tabby Cat. Oh, I feel for you. Trust me. I had to walk about an hour in this heat yesterday to go to the car shop. Oh man, I'm telling you, it ain't no joke. Good morning, Shine Bunny. What's up? Hope you're feeling better, Shine. Hope you're feeling better. Oh, Snap Sharon. What's up? I love that icon pic too. I love it. And then the clouds in the background. That's awesome. Good morning, Pam. Jules, what's up? What's up? Yes, just once in a while morning show, having some car issues, so I had to take the day off, but we're getting all that squared away. Getting that squared away. P Fox, Jesse Lynn. Where's Jinx? I saw Jinx. There's Jinx. What's up, Jinx? Babs Forever. Good morning. Oh, that sucks. I hate delays. What's up, Maria? Good morning. Sarah Bear, grandest. Ooh, I like that. The grandest of mornings to you, CJ. I love it. What's up, Tenna? And thank you so much for that, P Fox. So yeah, we can get to a lot of the stuff that we haven't gotten to because of this Grub truck deep dive that we've been doing the last 4 episodes. So we're gonna do tonight's show. We're gonna be doing the Grub truck. Do I take a day off? No, not really. Sometimes I even do 2 shows in a day, like today. I'm going to be doing my show this morning, and I'm going to be back on for tonight. We're going to be finishing up the Grub truck. We spent the 4 episodes deep diving it. Tonight, I'm going to be hanging out with you guys in chat. And I'm not going to be talking during the show. I'm just going to be hanging out with you guys in chat. Basically going to be playing all the timestamps that we went through. I'm going to have a highlighted message at the bottom showing the time of the timestamp and the time of the real time. So that way you know the timestamp on the Grub truck version, and then you also know the timestamp of the real time as it's taking place that evening. Man, I'm telling you, like, as much as we thought there was a lot of stuff on the last 2 hours, which there definitely is, but man, the stuff that takes place in the first 2 hours is just like, I don't know. I can't wait to take that and then deep dive into the audio and the visuals of the Banfield body cam, the Linda Lane, the mixing it all together. And we're gonna try and deep dive into all of that and see if we can get the Grub truck, how it matches up with the other footage and the other audio. The truck that drives by, when Kaylee's asking Maddie what she told Adam. We're gonna be like, we're gonna take all of that and like try and lay it down on the table and then try and see like how does this mix. So that'll be coming up in the next few episodes. Thank you for the sub. I'm everywhere. Hey, that's me. That's the fake me. Hi, fake me. You should come on in. Yeah, if you guys, I'm sure you guys know there is a fake me out there. And this one right here is the fake me. Look at that. They even subscribe to my channel. Aw, that's so sweet of you. I'm everywhere. That is so sweet of you. Look at that. A sub. Now become a member, and then you can see the police simulator games. I'm everywhere. Got to become a member, though. Good morning, everybody. These people. They don't realize. All right. Full of shit. Says harsh reality about Carly Russell. All right. So we were talking about, there's a bunch of videos that I didn't even get to go through with you guys over the last few days just because of the Grub truck stuff. I'd like to talk to you about some DNA. Well, here. Let me put the sign in the window. Yeah, anybody's more than welcome to hop up. Hold on. There's a true crime design video that came out. Let me see here. That's so cool. The fake me subbed me. When does that happen, right? The fake you subs you? What's up, buddy?
Hey, CJ, how are you?
Good. How are you, man? I like the background. That's cool, man.
Yeah, I just finished doing a show for a sports channel,
Hell
and
yeah.
so I've got it all set up for StreamYard and everything. But yeah, I'm happy to talk to you, and I'm sure you've heard that I've said a few positive things about you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Even any other
You and
facts and
Dago are
stuff.
two of my favorites. I think what I like about you guys is open-minded and a humble approach, not so arrogant like some of these
Yeah.
channels, man. If you don't agree with everything they're saying, they just want to yell at you.
Yeah. Hey, it's about that peace, positivity, and progress, man. We can't get
I
there
agree.
together if we don't work
I agree
together.
wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
We're all looking for the truth, and we can't get there if we're fighting about it.
Right. 100, man. Thank you. I appreciate your kind words. What's up, buddy? What's up with this DNA stuff you want to talk about? I'm interested.
Did you hear my comments on Dago's live the other day?
No.
I talked. I was basically saying that, based on what I've been paying attention to and just watching a lot of the experts talk and the shows that I've been following, it kind of struck me that the DNA on the sheath just doesn't actually put him at the house. It doesn't even come close to putting him at the house, based on the fact that you'd have to prove that he put the DNA on the sheath at the house, which if that was the case, it wouldn't be in the location it was in and everything else. And we talked about that on Dago's show, and then Harsh did a video about it the next day and quoted me in the video, which I appreciated that very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome,
I'm not a true crime guy, by the way. I'm a sports guy. I do sports stuff. So, and I'm not trying to break into true crime at all. I'm busy enough with the sports, but this Idaho4 thing is just so interesting. It's, and once you dig into it a little bit, it's impossible to stop, right?
It is, man, because it's so messed up and there's so many weird, shoddy things going on, and you just want to figure out what the hell is even going on, And I totally agree with you. In my opinion, when it comes to the DNA, and that's why I always bring up the coffee cup at the store, man. And I grab my microphone stand, and if you touch this thing and you don't want to buy it, and then I pick it up and I take it home, and I disgustingly decide not to wash it before I use it, and then I grab my microphone stand, and all of a sudden, something happens to me, and then they go to swab this thing, and then they find and then they find yours. It's like, okay, that doesn't mean that you were at the scene of the crime. It doesn't mean that you were at the scene of the crime. It means that, you just touched the same item as well. So that's, when I always wondered, he could have even, when I look at it, I look at things like as a jury member would, because you have to find the reasonable doubt first before you can get to guilty beyond reasonable doubt. So when I look at everything, I look to see where the reasonable doubt is first. And that, to me, it just doesn't mean that he was at the scene of the crime. That's why I've always wondered, okay, I get it. The name there's a connection somehow. How is there a connection? That's my biggest question. Obviously, his DNA was there, but how did it get there? That's the biggest question. And there's reasonable doubt when it does come to him being at the scene of the crime because of the sheath.
Do you go to the gym, CJ?
No, I don't. No, I just work out at work, man.
Well, that's what I meant. Do you work out? But I just find that when I'm at the gym and I'm on the treadmill, or I'm jogging, or I'm exerting myself, I don't know whether it's you get blood flow to your brain, but you get these ideas that you don't get these ideas just sitting around the house doing nothing. But when you get active, your blood starts flowing. You start thinking about things, and you come up with some reasonable ideas, I've found, and that's usually when I get my best ideas. But today I was at the gym and I was thinking about this whole DNA thing and how it doesn't put him at the scene of the crime. And I was trying to go over it, hypothetically, how when they get the forensic expert for the prosecution, the defense is going to be able to say, well, when do you think that Kohberger's DNA was, planted on how did it get on the sheath? And the guy's not really going to be able to say, I think that he unsnapped it. Clearly the story is BK was wearing gloves. He's not going to be able to get a small sample like that in one concentrated area and not anywhere else in the entire house. at that scene. The only way it could be there from BK, the way they are claiming, is if it was prior to arriving at the house. And if the expert that they get for the state tries to deny that or tries to avoid that fact, you could probably make him look pretty silly by just handing him a sheath and saying, could you demonstrate how you would go about placing one sample of DNA on the inside of a buckle without getting it on any other part of the, just how would one have to touch a sheath in order for that to happen, right? And of course, he's not going to be able to do that. But speaking of the forensic experts for the state, Ken Maines dropped a video like 2 days ago. I don't know if you had a chance to see that about the John Benet Ramsey case.
No, I haven't been able to, man. I just had a lot of stuff going on in the background. Haven't really been able to do any kind of research or checking out things other than the Grub truck stuff. I did see some stuff come across. I did see a video about he might be changing his tune about the DNA too.
Yeah, Harsh did a video about that on Friday, I think, or Saturday. But Ken Maines has been quite vocal. He insists that BK's guilty.
Yeah.
And he's actually been quoted as saying the DNA on the sheath is as good as gold.
Right.
And it's got him dead to rights. It's as good as gold. But then he's talking, I guess he forgets. So 2 weeks later, he's doing a show about the John Benet Ramsey case. And he's like, touch DNA? Man, that's just too shaky for me. I don't trust that stuff. You can't. That doesn't mean nothing. And
right.
I just thought that was quite telling. But it's not just... And I started thinking, and it's not just Ken Maines. It's going to be C.C. Moore. What's the other guy's name? Joseph
Morgan.
Pardon me? Joseph Scott Morgan.
Yeah.
All these guys are going to have made statements throughout their career on the validity of touch DNA and whether or not you can actually sentence a guy to death based on touch DNA. So,
right.
And especially the experts that are, been in the field for 20, 30, 40 years. You've got all this documentation of speeches they would have given at universities and interviews that they would have given discussing this stuff. And I thought, it's going to be really difficult for the prosecution to find a forensic expert. They're going to parade up there on the stand to give the narrative that the state is currently running with, without Ann Taylor coming up for cross-examination and saying, so tell me, you believe that this is the case because of this, and then she can say, well, is it true in 2016 you said at a conference at Northwestern University that touch DNA doesn't prove anything? Because that's going to exist likely for any forensic expert out there has probably said something that completely contradicts what they would have to be saying to try to use this DNA as the main evidence against BK.
Yeah, both sides are going to have their. I think when this, if the trial ever happens, I think when you get to this part of the trial, when it talks about this specifically, I think it's going to be the highlight of the trial because both sides are going to have compelling arguments with experts on how each scenario or what did or didn't take place. And I think it's going to leave the jury at the end of the day, after they go through both sides. I still think it's going to be an undecided kind of thing, no matter how many experts you can pull up there. I think each side is going to, because, when it comes to that, who's to say that, it is odd, right? That it's a very minute amount. Okay, that was on there, and what kind of DNA it is, and usually it's used to for death row cases to
prove innocence.
Right, yeah, the Innocence Project, or what it's called. And that's what it's usually used for. And even C.C. Moore had claimed that, and she's like the head lady on it when it comes to that type of DNA research. And but I still think that the prosecution is going to be able to present it in a way that you could also kind of see it from their scenario too.
I
Um,
agree. I think they're going to
you
get
know,
a great expert to go on there and tell
yeah,
a great story, a fantastical story. And I think everybody in the jury is going to be on hanging on every word saying, oh, yeah, he's guilty. This sounds very plausible. And they want him to be guilty. I mean, I think
mhm.
most people just they get emotional about it. You got the victims, you sympathize with the victims. So therefore, you want the accused to be guilty because, you want somebody to have to pay for this. But, I think after they give their damning speech about how this all works, that convinces the jury, and Taylor stands up and says, "Okay, well, you said this, but in
Right.
2004 at Northwestern University, you said this. Could you explain that, sir?" And I think that will exist for any forensic expert they bring up there. They're
Mm.
going to have to contradict something that they've said prior in order to make that case for this
Oh
for this
yeah.
evidence to stick.
Right. It'll be like the highlight of the case, but when it comes to the
Like the glove in
importance,
the OJ trial, right?
right? But when it comes,
If
well,
if it don't
kind of,
fit, you must acquit.
because I think what it's going to be is I think it's going to be like the highlight of the case, but it's going to be the part that doesn't decide it. Like it's not. I think it's going to be a part which it's a shame to say that because it should be the other way around, where it should be the one part of the case that's going to slam dunk. But I feel like even after prosecution and defense goes through everything, they get their experts, the jury listens to it, they go through it. I still feel like it's going to be one of those things where it's like it's like when you're taking a test, and you get to a really hard question and you just can't come to a decision. So you just go to the next question because you're going to come back to it later. And I think it's the other questions that you're going to be going to that's going to actually decide, innocence or guilty when it comes to this. Not that the DNA isn't important or anything. I think it's going to be leaving the jury at a stump where it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. But it's going to be, this is going to be one of those court cases that is like, it's going to be bigger than the OJ case when it's all said and done. It's going to be like the biggest, I think, just with
The other thing
everything
about
that's
the forensic
involved.
expert is I've been looking for material to draw contradictions of public statements made by the experts, because it seems like every expert was on record saying they're going to find tons of evidence in that car. No, nobody said we'll see if the car gets anything, and we're on the fence if the car. Nobody said we're on the fence. Everybody was certain there's going to be evidence in that car,
Right.
and now everybody's backpedaling and acting like it's no big deal that there's. And I think that
They were even
again,
saying they would change their mind if there was nothing in the car. If there's
well,
nothing in the
yeah,
car, then I'm changing
well,
my. They were so sure about
drunk
it.
turkey Daniel was on record saying if there's nothing in that car, we got some big problems. And
Oh
he's kind
yeah.
of backpedaling. I'm not trying to say anything bad about Daniel. I know you don't want anybody bad mouthing other creators, and I do like Daniel, but yeah, he did go on record saying if there's nothing in that car, we got big problems, and he's been awful quiet about the fact that there was nothing in the car lately.
Well, I mean, we had like Ruckus last night. He's former Ellie. He and I can't wait for him to be part of the panel more because I think with his background and his experience, he would add to the knowledge when it comes to the cases that we're talking about in a different point of view. I think it's just a different point of view. You know what I mean?
But
Not
Daniel's
that
point of view is pretty clear that it's almost impossible to clean a car before that car came back clean, right?
well, me and him have had conversations before about that topic itself, really. There was a time where I believe he was on the show, and then there was another time where I was on Dago's show and we were talking about that stuff. And, even though I think they even had an expert on there talking about how you could literally clean the car with, and have nothing left. Listen, I'm not an expert, but I'm telling you right now, I'm a damn good motherfucking detailer. And if I couldn't clean shit out of a vehicle, I know damn well BK couldn't clean the shit out of a vehicle. That's all I'm saying. I'm not a fucking
Well,
expert, but I'm pretty
that's
damn
another
sure
point,
that.
CJ, is I don't put much credence into what people have said after the fact if they said something different before the fact. So getting an expert to say this after the car was clean, it doesn't hold as much water. I want to know what they said before the car came back clean, right? Because everybody that I've heard prior to BK's car coming back clean was you can't clean a car. It's nearly impossible. And Daniel did have somebody on his show, or he made reference on one of his shows to a case where a guy killed his parents with an axe and drove home, and they didn't get anything out of his vehicle. I think that vehicle might have been like a Jeep with the top off or something. So it would have been a little, still you would have expected them to find something in that vehicle.
Right.
But that's one example out of thousands.
What case
so,
was that? What case was that?
Uh,
Do you remember?
I don't remember, but Daniel would know. He used that as the one example of a case where a car came back clean. But
I'd have to look that up.
From everything I've heard, if you poll LE and say, how many cars have you checked out, and how many cars have come back clean when you know for a fact there was something in there, the overwhelming response seems to be that you can't really clean a car unless you take it apart. And you've said it many times that you have to basically disassemble the thing.
Yeah, I've had to take stuff apart in vehicles to get it, because there ain't no. I'm sorry, you can have all the different tools in the world to get into crevices and all that stuff. There's just some tools. They're not. You can't make one to get in, so you do have to.
And isn't it odd that a guy that can't clean a knife that's this big can clean an entire car? You know what I mean? Like he's good enough to get the entire car, but he couldn't figure out how to get that last little bit off the knife.
Well, I mean, you heard reports of other people cleaning their car in Moscow and Pullman, but you never heard a report of BK cleaning it until after he was in PA. And of course, I mean, come on, I clean my car after I'm taking a 12-hour drive somewhere. I'm cleaning my car after I get there, because you're driving, you're not worried about some things, and sometimes it might get messy or whatever. I have a question though. Are you getting together all of those statements and stuff that you're talking about? Like, are you getting
a
what?
Collection of those I plan to. I was working with Crime Sleuthin', and I was sending her some stuff. And I had it in my mind that it was going to be really easy to find all these clips. And I realized it takes an awful lot of time. And I do have a day job, but so far I've found half a dozen good ones. So I have a few if you want them, but man. I really realized that I was biting off more than I could chew trying to find all that stuff.
That's just finding it. Wait till you get to the edit process, bro. That's it's not as easy as people think.
Well, that's exactly why I came on and said I want somebody else to do this, because I've got a day job. I work 10, 12 hours a day doing my normal gig. So this true crime hobby of mine kind of cuts into that.
Right. I know, man. I feel you, dude. That's why people, how come you didn't get to my emails? I'm like, look, I have like 15, 20 minutes between my day job and my show. Like, I really do try my ass off. I can't wait to do the Monday through Friday 8 to 4. Trust me, because then I can take that 8-9 hours I do during the day, divide that up to different things, and boom, it would just be amazing. But it's that patience thing. But yeah, man, that's a great idea though, man. And I'm glad that not only that it piqued your interest when it comes, because it's a good idea, dude, to really like collect all those things and put them together. And definitely what do you do for sports, man? Do you just like hang out on talk shows or something? Because I got a coach thing coming up if you'd like to be a special guest coach one of these
I basically make predictions. So I analyze data and I make predictions on major sporting events. So I mean, that's sort of where my interest in, I don't have any experience in true crime. I don't have any education that would qualify me to talk about things like DNA.
Right.
But I'm pretty good at
Just as good.
spotting inconsistencies and hypothesize. That's essentially what I do. Is I make educated guesses for a living. That's what I do. Done it for
Based
a
off
couple decades.
based off of probabilities and statistics.
Yeah, I mean, you analyze all the data you have available to you, not just statistics, but weather patterns and even psychological stuff. And you put it all together and you try to find something that you see that everybody else doesn't see, because when you're into gambling on sports, making predictions, gambling on the outcome, everybody else is doing that too. And the only way you're going to make money is if you see something that everybody else doesn't see.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's essentially my job. That's what I wake up every morning trying to see things that others aren't seeing. And I've been doing it for, a couple decades, and I've done pretty well at it. So, that's where I'm at.
Do you have a channel on YouTube, or is there any?
I just put out my first video right around the Super Bowl. Put out a few Super Bowl predictions, and I try to put out daily picks on games. But it's the slow season right now with Major League Baseball, especially in July. They have come football season. I'll be on there every day talking about various games, and I do appear on a lot of other bigger. I have a small channel myself, but I appear on a lot of our other bigger channels.
Cool. Yeah. Do me a favor. When you're in chat, just type something in chat, and then I'll get your channel link and I'll share your channel, man.
Sounds good.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Yeah. If you come across anything, and you're more than welcome to send it. It is interesting, and so you're working with Crime Sleuthin' to kind of put something together to have like some kind of video.
I proposed this idea of this video, and she was the first one to get back to me, and she said she wanted to do it. So
cool.
I said great, and like I said, I had it in my mind that I would find all the timestamps and all the videos and send her the information, and that would take me an hour or two. And after about 8 hours, I think I found 3 or 4 good clips. So I'm hoping that she's still working on it, but
well,
we'll see how that works out.
Just from because she called in one time, I think, and she's been hanging out in chat here and there, and then I've heard her on Dago a couple times, and it seems like she's got the same kind of eye when it comes to seeing stuff that maybe others don't see too. So it'll be a good collab.
2 nights ago, I did a 3-hour live with her.
Oh wow!
She asked me if I could go on there, and I was like, I got 5 or 10 minutes, and somehow I got roped into 3 hours.
Yeah, that's how it always works on these shows, man. You get to talking, and then all of a sudden, that's why people, if you're nervous about joining StreamYard and coming up on panel, please don't be, because really, like after a couple minutes, it almost seems like you're talking to somebody on the phone and you're just chilling, and time does go by, and 10 minutes turns into an hour quite often. But that's cool, man. Like, that's cool that you were able to. So you hung out the whole 3 hours and you guys did a show on that. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate her having me on there. And like I say, I do have another gig and another job, so I don't really have to. I know there's a lot of people that are trying to break into the true crime kind of thing, and that's certainly not my goal. I'm not really interested in much other than the Idaho4 case. Just something about this case that's drawn me into it. So now I'm, on pins and needles, waiting to hear the next piece of information about this case. But I'm not really that interested in the rest of it. And I'm more interested in doing my thing with sports than breaking into true crime. But certainly happy to communicate with the creators, and I really appreciate what all you guys are doing.
Well, I appreciate you too, man, and definitely the support, whether it's in chat or even coming up on panel or even bringing your ideas. It means a lot to all of us, and I totally feel you.
Did you see Rolo last night?
I was Okay, I was actually listening. I was in Dago's show yesterday in chat,
Mhm.
but that was part of me walking to the car shop. That's why I couldn't, because I heard Rolo come up and he was bringing up my show in the video or something, and I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I could either join panel or type, but I couldn't even barely see because I'm sitting there walking and the sun's beating down on the phone and I can barely even see what,
It's
So
kind of amazing,
I
when
heard,
people
I
from all
heard.
walks of life just come up with some of these things, and it's like, man, how did this guy see this? We all missed this.
Right. And see, I didn't get to see the picture. All I could do was hear it.
Mhm.
And then when I stopped to type that it might have been a members only, because I think Dago was having a hard time looking for it. And so I typed in it might have been a members only or something. And I literally like had to walk up to a building, go like this just to be able to see chat to type in it. And but no, I didn't get to see the screen. I didn't get to see the picture that they were talking about, but I was listening to the audio, and that was another reason why I wanted to get on this morning and do like a open topic panel kind of show, because I do feel bad. We've been digging into the Grub truck the last 4 nights, pretty hardcore. Haven't been able to really explore other people's ideas because we've been trying to keep it, to a small playlist. And so that's why I got on today, because that was another thing. I was like, man, I need to look at this picture too. I
I've
need to
noticed that
see.
Eddie usually has something interesting to
Yeah,
contribute.
what's up, Eddie?
Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning.
CJ,
Good. How are
Jesse?
you, sir?
Morning,
What's up,
Eddie.
buddy?
Of course,
I have a hard
it's
time seeing.
not morning where I'm at.
Oh no. Yeah, you're right. What time is it?
It's Beach 30.
It's 10 o'clock in the night where I'm at.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty late. What time do you get to bed?
Oh, I like to be in bed before 4 in the morning, but I can't say I always make it in bed in time.
10 o'clock, I'm in bed.
I think it was
Shoot.
6 a.m. when I did that live with Crime Sleuthing a couple days ago. It finished at 6 a.m. my time.
Wow. Well, I'm here to talk a little bit about the
wow.
Idaho.
Yeah, what's up, man?
I have a hard time imagining that Bill Thompson is going to bring this thing to trial. I think there are like designed procedural errors in the investigation, which will allow for the defense to be able to identify and then like file motion to suppress, maybe eventually get this thing dismissed. Bill Thompson is no fool, but if he goes to trial, he's going to look foolish. A prosecutor is not going to bring a case to trial unless they have enough to ensure that it's airtight and that they have a case that's going to win. So that's
especially a DP. Especially a DP.
Right. So he's either going to bring it or it's not going to go to trial at all.
So you think they're stalling right now to buy time to try and solidify their weak case?
No, I don't think that. I think, we've already seen clues of what is happening. When Ann Taylor is filing a motion to have this discovery turned over, but the discovery is not getting turned over. In the courtroom, she even says that I don't think it is the, I don't think it's the prosecution that is not turning over the discovery. So that tells us that
you don't think it's the
Bill
prosecution?
Thompson is not getting that discovery.
So you're saying it's the other agencies like the FBI and
yes,
and some of these because there's multiple agencies contributing to the case.
Right. So he's not
interesting.
Looking cool. They have all this discovery.
What's up, Brooke?
And it's almost like a child throwing a tantrum. They have this discovery, they mix it up in a wind tunnel, they grab shovels and brooms, put it into a wheelbarrow, and then turn it over in a disorganized manner and say, here you go. And then when they finally sort through it all, they learn, well, it's not all here. which of course the prosecution would know that. So it's not getting
that's
turned over
interesting.
because the prosecution doesn't have it. Now that's going to force the judge to make a ruling. Like, well, how do you make the FBI do something, right? You can't.
Right.
So he's going to have to be forced to, I don't know.
I never thought of that.
This whole thing is bizarre.
Yeah.
Bill Thompson is just not, I don't think he's enjoying this. I think there's like a very strong force behind him, compelling him to do this. And like, it's all right. This won't even go to trial. Your legacy isn't going to be marred. It's going to be dismissed. And then you'll look, of course, you're going to look like you're trying the whole time. Right. We learned that they're going to go for the death penalty. Okay. Well, of course, you're gonna bring your strongest case. You're gonna show that you're in earnest. This guy did it. But
Eddie,
this is perplexing for sure. Now, if it goes to trial, I don't see how he has a case to win.
So what makes you think, because I haven't heard of this before, it's definitely interesting, but what makes you go down that path with your thought? Like, what kind of led you to think that possibly, you know what I mean? Was there something that stuck out to you that then sparked that thought?
Yeah, like, what is the motive? There is no motive. One person cannot have done this crime. We have
No. I mean, as in, like, how the prosecution doesn't even have the full discovery.
CJ, can I interrupt?
Yeah.
I'm totally with Eddie on this, and
I'm not saying it couldn't exist. It's a curious thought. It really is, and I'm intrigued. But I'm just, what spawned it? Like, what?
If there's two investigations going on, then one investigation would be sort of rushed and put together, while the other investigation is still going on, and that's why it's all being drawn out. Because I think the real investigation needs time, because there's lots of people involved in this. If I've just put out 2 videos and it explains why I think that. I don't think the house is important at all, and I'll tell you why the house isn't important, why there's no evidence, there's no blood, there's nothing there, because they weren't killed there. They were put there after.
What?
That's what I believe. I think Maddie and Kaylee were dumped on top of each other because that's exactly what they did. They dumped him in the bedroom. And I think Zana and Ethan were also just dumped in Zana's bedroom. And I think that's why you maybe have a little bit of a blood trail, but there's no actual evidence in the house. That's why the defense don't want it. The prosecution don't want it. The college don't want it. Nobody wants it because it's a crime scene as such, but it's not the real crime scene. And I think Linda Lane is the real crime scene.
Linda Lane?
I think Ethan was tortured
in the
there.
alley?
In one of the apartments.
In one of the apartments? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to say you're crazy, but this is the Idaho4 case, and it's all about crazy, right? I mean,
tell me how
crazy,
else.
You must be talking about something else.
Well, how else is BK's car not?
Jesse.
There's no evidence anywhere. There's no evidence in the house. There's no evidence in a car. There's no footsteps. There's no DNA anywhere. There's nothing. So it didn't happen there.
I mean?
Yeah, but there's obviously a crime scene, but I don't think it's that house.
Okay, well then, if they were just,
why do you think the Linda Lane footage is coming out? Everyone keeps arguing about it. It really annoys me. Everyone I love is arguing about it, and the Linda Lane footage is important. It really is.
I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm saying
No,
when
no,
the
not you,
footage,
not you, not you, not you.
yeah, no,
I've just seen other
I think it's the
creators.
second most important. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
not right now because we've already done what we could do with it, right? What I'm saying is it's the second most important footage when the footage of the street and the property come out. Then that shit's second most important, right? Because that's when you see other vehicles, yada yada.
it's
What
not
about the
just the
blood trail
vehicles.
coming out? What about the blood trail? No, not just the vehicles, but I,
No, no, no.
I've done, yeah. I'm looking at like the sounds where, uh, I just
It
it's that
it just makes
fishbowl
more
zone
sense.
is what I'm
Yeah, but it
thinking of.
makes more sense that we're hearing those sounds. We're hearing people shouting and crying and screaming at Linda Lane because
There's a
that's where
lot
the
of people
crime
that live
was.
there. There's a, I mean, there's a lot of people that live there, and
It's not that many. There's only a few flats there. There's only a few apartments in each building.
no, Rory walked through the whole place. You could see
Yeah,
all
but
the
the
apartments.
actual Linda Lane underneath is like the laundry and all that. So there's only actually a few apartments up the top on each building. You have to downstairs is like how you get upstairs and into like the laundry and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's only a few
When you're going
apartments
through the small
upstairs,
little drive.
next door, next door,
But-
next door.
But you're talking about you got the apartment building next to the dumpster. You got the apartment building.
That's what I'm saying. They
going
go
up
down. Yeah, there's
to where
3
the camera's
apartment
at.
buildings.
You got the apartment building that the camera's on. You got the 2 other
Yeah.
apartment buildings that are you drive through to get in there, and then you got the
Mhm.
other apartment building that's straight across. I mean, there's a lot of apartments around that area. Now, I'm not saying that shit can't get echoed because we also had Rory do a walkthrough through the middle of those buildings, and the echo was crazy.
I
So if you
believe
think that they were placed there, why do you think the blood came out of the freaking house? Because that's major shit, yo.
This is going to sound awful.
That's a lot. Hold on.
I don't
Give me
think.
1 second. Hold on.
Oh,
Do
sorry.
me a favor. If there's going to be anything triggering while you see I'm going to put up the graphic warning top right. If there's anything triggering, please hit the mute button. And when you see that thing go away from the screen, you can unmute it. Go ahead, Kara. Sorry. I just want to make sure.
No. I believe that Ethan and Zana weren't completely gone when they were put back in her room. I think they bled out in there, but not anywhere else in the house, just in her bedroom. It's the only thing. Listen, if we put everything we have together, there's no real evidence in the house. Everyone's in and out, no masks, no hairnets, nothing. When they were investigating, the crime scene investigators weren't wearing hairnets. They were sneezing and coughing all over the place. These are professional people. That tells me that this house was not a crime scene. It was just a part of the picture because the bodies were taken there. That's why there's nothing there. Nothing outside, nothing inside. Just probably a bit of
I'm not
blood
going to say
trail,
there's nothing there. This is.
But we don't know.
I'm not going to say.
Would part of this theory involve drugging them? Because, the lack of evidence, the lack of the story doesn't make sense based on the timing and
right.
four people taking care of 4 people in 8 minutes.
No, it was separate. Yeah, it was all done separate.
And I thought it was.
I was thinking Mabbitt, the coroner, said that we didn't do toxicology reports because they're irrelevant to the case.
Exactly.
And I thought to myself, well, the first thing that when this came on the news, like the first day before true crime channels even had a chance to analyze it, you're hearing this story, and the first thing that comes to your mind is the only way that could happen is if some serious drugs are involved and people are passed out. The roommates.
Right.
The roommate story doesn't make sense unless they were. No. And it doesn't make sense that it would make a lot more sense if you like roofied them and then you did them in whichever way you wanted to, whatever suits your.
Can I tell you
what you're trying to do?
Can I tell you how I think this all happened and when it started? there's 5 hours missing from Zana and Ethan. And that 5 hours, they were an hour at Sigma Chi and then they vanished until 1:45 when Bethany saw them come home. Where do you think they were in that 5 hours? Why has nobody said a word about the 5 hours? I believe Ethan and Zana had a fight at the Sigma Chi over something. And I believe Ethan was drugged to make him very easy to handle. And I think it made less noise. This is horrible, guys. I hate it. But when they tortured Ethan, it was to make Zana talk. And I believe they drugged him to make that as quiet as it could have been. I think he was taken from Sigma Chi and he was taken to Linda Lane Apartments. And that is why Linda Lane is so important. You can't hear every little thing, but you can hear some really bad stuff going on if you listen. It's
I did.
horrible.
I did.
It's horrible. CJ, listen with a completely open mind. Like, don't debunk
do.
anything. No matter what
No, I
anyone
do.
says to you, you look at every single little thing, and if it doesn't make sense, it's because it didn't happen.
No, I always look at everything with an open
Yeah,
mind.
no, I
because
understand you do.
about-
That's why I
yeah.
like talking to you.
Now I did. Trust me, I spent tons of hours on those videos when they first came out.
You
the
know
first
Jeff
couple days.
H. He's got some really,
And-
really good audio to listen to there.
That's cool.
Doesn't Jeff H sort of subscribe to the BK being guilty theory? I mean, I see him in the comments.
Yes, but he
the
does.
story that you just gave us sounds like something that he would not be getting down with. And it's not like I know the guy. He doesn't get down with that story, no?
No, I don't think so. But I just said to him, thank you, because I referenced the great audio he
Listen,
put out,
I
helped
mean,
me come to my
that's-
conclusion.
Well, and that's great, but I didn't listen to Jeff H's audio. I listened to the audio
Okay.
from the video before
The original,
anybody,
yeah.
before anybody
I know.
doctored it. Okay, and
I
so
know, yeah.
that's what I'm going off of. Okay,
Mhm.
not saying that anybody did anything, but at the same time, that's
No, I
what
know.
I went off of, and I'm not gonna lie. At first, the first day that we went through it, and I started hearing some things, I was like, I had to pause it a few times because there was some times where I'm like, holy crap, this is disturbing as hell. But as I can you do me a favor and just mute it real quick?
Oh, sorry.
As I was going through it the next morning I started to go through that part again before I was on the show. And as I was going through it, it went from like a blood curdling, scream of a guy that as I listened to it more and more and more with an open mind, then I'm sitting there going, this sounds like a domestic incident that was taking place at the property building because of the tone. And that's the one thing when it came to any of these voices, any of these barks, any of these audio things, when it comes to a person or a pet or something, it was always down to the tone. And that's what I was focused on, not necessarily the type of sound. It was the tone of the word that I was really focusing on. And that's why I thought it was maybe a domestic incident, because to me the tone it wasn't a tone that it was a tone of like frustration to me after I kept listening to it, not necessarily of pain.
If I said to you, I think I heard someone on the phone outside come out of one of the apartments and say they haven't got it, would that change your mind?
I mean, if you can give me the timestamp of the video,
I'll find it and I'll try and
check
send
it
it.
out.
Yeah.
I'll definitely listen to it, but if
Mhm.
I want the original video,
Yeah. Okay.
you know what I'm saying? I don't want anybody's version.
I know what you
because,
mean. Yeah, I know.
I mean, hell, I could put a version together and have creepy ass ghost sounds in it and be like, son of a bitch, this is, it's,
Yeah.
you
No,
know,
I know exactly what you mean.
but yeah, if there's like if you want to give me the hour of the video
I'll
and then
find
the
it. Yeah.
timestamp. Yeah, the timestamp of the footage. I will
Yep.
go. We'll go check it out. You know,
Yeah.
I'll take a listen right now if you know the hour and
I'm
timestamp
not
of
sure. I don't know.
when
No,
this.
I'm not sure straight off. But
No, okay.
um,
Yeah, just let me
there
know
was
and we'll check it out.
at 1:45. People leave one of the flats upstairs, the apartments. Sorry, and
Mm.
I believe they went to the King house and met the girls when they came in at 1:56. And you could hear screaming at that point as well.
Well, I don't think this is the last footage that's coming out, Kara.
No, it's not.
No,
No way.
it's the last footage that's coming out is going to be the property that's directly. If it's not the footage that's at the property, it's the footage from across the street. Those two little apartments there
Yeah,
that are across the street. I've been saying
that's
it.
what we need. Yeah.
Those are the ones that are coming out last. It's a
Yeah.
drip feed.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
a suspense game. It's meant to do this.
I also think it's meant to slowly change people's minds rather than hitting everyone with loads of stuff at one time. Do you know what I mean? I think a lot of people are so 100% this way or 100% that way. It's too much information in one go to tell people what's happening.
Well,
And
I have a question for you about, because since you brought up the whole thought of there being another investigation and all this stuff, do you think that this could be part of the other investigation where they're the ones that are putting out this stuff that's not being released by the courts and is not being put out because there's no trial or anything like that? Do you think it's them that could be possibly doing this to make you think that it went
no,
somewhere
because
else, you know, on the other end?
the real investigation is top people, not local PDs, and the real
No, of course
investigation is going to involve lots of people because there's lots of people involved. It's
Yeah,
it's
I
a
just, I
million
don't know.
trillion-dollar thing going on here. There's lots of companies, lots
Well,
of people involved.
yeah, it is
It's just what I
interesting.
found. It's just what I found. It's
Yeah,
not
it
hard.
is interesting that there was, you know, agents out there before, and quite a few of them before the crime
Yeah.
even took place.
Yeah,
And
living there,
right,
living there. That's because they
you
needed
know,
to be close.
and then when you go through and we kind of like, as the last couple months, there's been a lot of other great content creators doing a lot of hard work on a lot of other
Yeah,
stuff
definitely.
that
Yeah,
involves this case, and then you see the stuff that they're uncovering, and you know, it just makes you wonder what the hell was going on before the crime even took place. Was there an investigation into some of these things that were going on based off of what's been uncovered from a lot of other these great content creators?
I also
You
believe
know, I'm
that.
not going to name names, but
No, I know.
organizations,
I don't want to.
you know,
Yeah,
yeah.
Ethan and Zana died for a different reason to Kaylee and Maddie, and opposite reasons. For opposite reasons. Nobody wants to hear anything. Look, these aren't kids. These are young adults. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to do whatever they need to do to get through college. They're doing what all college kids do. I've got kids this age. They make mistakes, you know. They live, they learn. That's how you get on in life. That's how you mature, because you learn from your mistakes. And who cares if they made mistakes? They're adults, you know. They have to do that stuff to change and be better. So this isn't about victim blaming or anything like that, but there were different reasons why they died, and they weren't all killed together in the same house. They were killed for different reasons.
Yeah. And you have two videos kind of going through that stuff and kind of why you feel that way. And
I'm not mentioning any names, companies.
Right.
Because I do believe there's an investigation going on. So that, and I think it's taking a long time because there's a lot of people involved. And I think this whole BK thing is a little bit of a cover. He looks good. Every time he came out in a red jumpsuit, it was crisp, folded, brand new, pristine jumpsuits every time he came into court. Now he's in suits with no handcuffs, no nothing. He looks good. He looks really good. He does. You've got to admit that. He's looking, the whole team are looking confident. They're looking good. I think he's helping. I think he's helping with a real investigation. Because this investigation into him, we all know it doesn't make sense.
You know what I'm saying? If I was in that same position, I was going to schooling for that myself, you know, and then myself is being put up in that situation against the wall like that. And if I didn't commit this damn straight, I'd be helping to. I'd be right in there. I'd be telling that team I want to be a part of all of this stuff as well. Like, damn straight, this is my life. I'm the way. Like, I can't depend if I have experience in these other things, I'm not going to depend 100% on other people, because that's when you get screwed. When you depend on other people, like, yeah, it can go, you know, it can take you far, but at the same time, when you put all your eggs in one basket, then sometimes you fall on your face and it's not fun. So I don't know. It just, okay. So like, if you think, so do you think that the prosecution doesn't have all the discovery because of another investigation going on as well?
Yeah, I think the reason Bill Thompson is sitting back from this is because I don't think he's a part of the Brian Kohberger prosecution.
So how do you think that's going to go down? If the defense is asking the prosecution,
they've got nothing. They've got nothing, CJ. They've got nothing.
So
he'll be released. He'll be released, and the real people will be arrested.
Finally, something I can get on board with. They've got nothing. Right? I can get down with that.
Nothing.
The rest of it, I lost interest in the Linda Lane footage. I don't have the patience that you guys have.
No, I know. I'm a little bit of a listener.
When it was first released, I saw everybody was breaking it down, and I tried to get into it, but on day 2 and day 3 and now we're in like week 3 or something. I don't want to see any more Linda Lane. I mean,
no, it took me a few weeks.
We can go through
because
old
I didn't.
episodes.
Yeah. It took me a while because I dismissed it as well, and then I thought there's a reason. There's a reason why we see everything we see. There's a reason why everything's going the way it is, and I just believe that the investigation needs time, not the investigation to Brian, because there's nothing to investigate. I think the real investigation is just taking time because it's so complicated. It's entwined.
So,
there's businesses, and I don't want to say too much because I do believe. Mm-hmm.
No, it's like Doug Carter says with Delphi, it's tentacles, and these tentacles are all over, and some of them are interconnected and all this stuff. So yeah, any of those investigations, even like Henrietta, Oklahoma, people are asking me, what are updates on Henrietta? And I tried to explain it. Listen, when the agencies are doing their jobs, you're not going to hear a lot of this stuff for quite a while because of the tentacles that are involved. Like, that's no lie. I have a question for you then. How do you think the sheath existed? What's your thoughts now? If that's how you think everything is going down, what's your thoughts on the sheath and how the DNA got there then when it comes to BK?
I think the sheath was invented when Brian Kohberger was invented. The sheath wasn't, and no one mentioned a sheath in all the press conferences, in all the news. No sheath was ever mentioned. Apparently Payne is the only person that's seen it, so that tells me that there was no sheath. Only the guy that's writing the affidavit put in the sheath. And
why is he writing the affidavit?
Exactly.
That's what I always wondered too. Why is he the one that's writing?
Because everybody else that was there was caught up in they were caught up in Stickergate. So they couldn't come forward. But they couldn't be involved because of the Brady. That's the whole point. The Brady was the sticker gate, and they've paid them people off. Those Doug Wilson's grandsons or whatever, they've been paid off. They've all been given £100,000 each to get rid of that while this case is going on. And that's to stop the Brady problem.
Integrity. Yeah.
We know all the information, we just need to put it together, and everything we've done so far hasn't made sense. The only thing that makes sense is that 1122 isn't a crime scene, and that's why nobody wants the house, and the crime scene is somewhere else. The people were just put back there. Dylan never saw anybody, we know that. They didn't wait 8 hours. The girls weren't there. No one was in that house. No one was in that house.
Well, if you think that there's other investigations are the reason why the prosecution isn't getting all the discovery, then I'm just gonna be honest. I don't think we're gonna know the answers to any of this stuff, whether we think we do or not, until 20 years later.
Well, it won't be that long, but BK is going to be released.
If there's other
from
agencies
prison.
involved and they're not allowing full, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if this is like this whole connection thing that you're discussing, we don't find the truth.
It's going to be a long time,
20, 30 years later.
I wholeheartedly.
West Memphis 3. How long did that take to come out?
Yeah.
I'm
what's the other ones? Yeah. What's the other ones?
I mean, you could
New
name
York.
so many. You could name so many of them. I mean, and that's how it goes down, because it's what it's meant. It's that confetti that I'm talking about. The confetti.
But the other thing is, LE doesn't concede easily. Like, even in that West Memphis 3 case, they made those guys plead guilty before they knew they were innocent. So what do? They force them to plead guilty so that they can't sue the state. I mean, the level of corruption and cruelty and criminality involved with prosecuting those kids, and the total lack of concern for their well-being by the government, the local authorities, and everybody really.
Just because they didn't want to be wrong, you know.
When you see things like that, it's hard to have any faith in the system to do the right thing, you know. And this wasn't that long ago.
Right. Yeah, it was in the 90s. You know, when all that stuff was going down.
And I mean, the Brandon Dassey thing was a Netflix special that everybody in, you know, a large percentage of Americans are familiar with the Brandon Dassey situation, and it just it happened almost like on live TV. They framed a mentally challenged kid for a murder and put him in prison.
It's been happening for a long time. Yeah, it's been happening for a long time. What's the ones in New York that the 5 kids that were put in prison for attacking a woman, and they found out 20.
I'm familiar with the case, but I can't remember what they.
Yeah. What is it? Was it the Parkland 5? Or I can't remember. But the 5.
Central Park 5, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
Central Park.
Yeah, and they were in prison for what, 20 odd 30 years or something before they got exonerated. I can't remember. It's really sad anyway, really bad. It's really
Central
bad.
Park 5.
Yes.
Thank you, typically.
They got absolutely mullered in prison, them kids. They were destroyed. It's sad. It happens all the time.
That's why it's so frustrating to see people come in the comment section and say things like, if he's innocent, why do they got him in jail then? Why is he wearing an orange jumpsuit? I mean, when you say things like that, it's like you're not paying any attention to anything. Like,
right?
Are you walking around day to day in your whole life with blinders on like a horse? Because that's the only way that you could make comments like that and express such faith in the system, in LE, in the courts. And if you're one of those people that believes that everything's on the up and up, and you have so much faith in that system, the system's going to eat you up. And part of me is going to maybe have a bit of crack of a smile when it happens to you.
I just,
the
I
truth.
I
just,
shouldn't say.
How-
I shouldn't
It
say
is,
that.
yeah.
actually.
It's dangerous to drive if you're only looking through the windshield. You know what I mean?
exactly.
I should take that back. I don't really wish that on anybody.
No, we know
For
that.
being for being naive. But if you're naive and vindictive at the same time, then
Yeah.
perhaps I might wish it on you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not good. It's not a
Richard
good look.
Jewell's a good one too. You know, how many people thought
Mhm.
Richard Jewell, you know, you seen what it did to him and his family, you know, and he was just trying to help. He was
Yeah.
just a soul that cared about people and was trying to do the right thing, and even him, people were vilifying him all over the place. He was guilty before he was, you know, even the authorities, until they started, what was it, Eric Rudolph? Is that who it really was? In the end, he was like out there living in the woods. Yeah, Atlanta Olympic bombing, 1996, I think, is what it was. Yeah, there's plenty of cases out there where, you know, it's you got to find the, you know, you got to find them, and it almost seems like that is kind of what took place when it came to the arrest.
Well,
and
I've just seen the comment that came up, CJ, that you put up about how did they move the bodies without being on camera? How do we know they're not on
Mhm.
camera? There's no camera being released. We've just got a few of Linda Lane hours, but not all of it. We don't know who went into. We don't know what happened before 12:27 when that Jeep pulled up, and that 4 people got out, and you could hear the banging from somebody upstairs, and the guy walks up and bangs on the door as if to say, "Shut up," you know. That was definitely Zana. You could hear her as they went up the stairs. She was like, "What the fuck?" like that. That's what I heard. And then it shut off. It was just 2
on the
minutes
Linda
video.
Lane.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's just 2 minutes released at 12:27 to 12:29, and it shows you people coming in. You could hear the banging from the apartment upstairs, and the first guy walks up. He hides himself with his hat, and he bashes on the door as if to say, "Shut up," you know. It's very meaningful, and that footage is what
Yeah, like
maybe
a domestic incident.
No, it
Yeah.
wasn't domestic. He walks out of the car and bangs on the door, then goes in, and 3 other people come in behind him. 1 girl, 2 boys.
Yeah, I seen that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
because some people thought that was Ethan, and I was like, no, that's not Ethan, in my opinion.
It's not Ethan. No, Ethan was already
no.
there. He was drugged, in my opinion. And Zana wasn't drugged, and that's who was banging. You heard her. When they went up the stairs, you could hear the footsteps going up the stairs, and they opened the door, and she went, "What the fuck?" And I don't mean to swear in that, but I'm just telling you what I heard. I have no reason to make
No, you're fine.
anything up.
I say F word all the time.
I don't doubt that you heard this stuff.
A
but
couple hours after my shows are done.
Can we verify? How do we verify the audio on these clips? Though it's
Well, that's what
You
I'm
know what I'm
saying.
saying? And that's all
You
I'm
can't.
saying.
difficult.
Look at all these apartment buildings you're talking
It's
about.
just
You know what
my
I mean?
opinion. It's just that section there.
Right. But
So
I'm
there's
just
only
saying,
a couple
you
of
got
flats
all
in
of
that
these
very end
apartments.
bit. There's only a few in that very end bit at that side. At that
but
front bit, there's only a couple there.
You got
Because
okay.
underneath is like the garage space, and
I get what you're saying, Cara. Trust
Yeah.
me, I do.
Mhm.
But you got to look at this. You can't just say a couple flats, and I'm just being honest
No,
with
but
you.
that's what I'm
Because
saying.
you
More
got-
people are involved. Lots
But
of
what
people
I'm
knew
saying
about
is
this,
there's
CJ.
more.
No one.
There's more apartment buildings than what you're talking about too. Is
If
what
you
I'm trying
lived
to say.
there and you were 20 to 22 years old, and you knew what was going on, who was controlling everything, and you see 2 people get slaughtered and 2 other people die at the hands of somebody else, are you going to come forward and say anything? I'm not at 20. I'm not saying
Cara,
anything
you're
because
going off of somebody
those people are
else's
living
audio.
about going
That's
off
all I'm
somebody else.
saying.
What?
You're going
Sorry,
off
I
of somebody else's audio. That's all I'm saying. And that's what
no,
Jesse was
no,
saying.
no. I feel
You
like
know, that's-
that piece of audio put it together for me, because where's the 5 hours? Where were Ethan and Zana for 5 hours? We need to see the 10 p.m. 9 to 10 p.m. footage when they went missing from Sigma Chi. We need to see the right times. The times in this is so important. Everyone's focusing on a white car. It means nothing. The car's done nothing. Nothing.
No.
There's nobody sitting.
That's why I think the grub truck has
Can I ask you a question, Kara?
value than this. Go ahead.
So, are you a fan of Dago? Do you see his streams?
Yes,
as well?
yes. I watched Dago.
Did you catch the one last night when they had a caller call in about this footage, and they showed that the car was on jack? A clip of a car.
Oh, the garage. Yeah, the garage. Yeah.
It's supposed to be So what was supposed to be the white Elantra driving down the road,
it's jacked up.
Some guy who used to be a gangbanger in Sinaloa, calls in. I mean, the guy's like a forensic genius, right? It was, and everybody loved him. He had a great personality.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah, I did see it. Yeah.
My point in bringing that up, Kara, is that he's debunking footage, right? We have this image that's been presented to us as evidence.
Yeah.
And then we have this guy calling up
because it wasn't put out from LE. This was something that was leaked, so it really hasn't been presented as evidence.
So I guess what I'm saying is we have to approach all this stuff with some skepticism,
right?
And that's why I brought that example up. From my
and it's true because it's really this. Linda Lane wasn't released from LE, nor was the gas station photo. Okay.
Well,
now
they came forward, didn't they, and said, "Do not use that because it's not verified." The police said that. I think
we just had Rolo show up on a show talking about how it's sitting on jacks. It wasn't released from LE.
No, it's the woman who wanted to be anonymous from the garage.
And neither was Linda Lane. Okay. And I'm just saying, it's great that people want to enhance, and it's great that people want to do all that stuff. Bravo. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, who's to say that because you're basically saying Linda Lane is real, so you're basically saying, if I'm saying you as general, if you're saying Linda Lane is real, then you're saying the gas station pic is real. And it's coming from the same type of source. It's not being released from LE. And there's a shit ton of questions that come along with it. I've been saying since the first day the Linda Lane came out, until it comes out from LE, I don't even trust the damn timestamp. So all of these sounds that are taking place could literally be taking place. You take that 13, it could have been an 18 before, and all of a sudden a little smudge and a little smudge, and it's a 13. That could have been 5 days later footage. We just don't know. And when it comes to enhanced stuff, it's great. We're using J4J enhanced grub truck stuff, right? But I don't know shit from Adam. Okay. Now I'm sitting there and I'm watching the grub truck enhanced. Doesn't look like anything has been yada yada. When I'm listening to the Linda Lane footage, the original, I do hear odd things, but it's the tone that I'm looking for, and I don't hear the tone. And maybe I might hear it on another version or something, but that's the thing. It hasn't been released, so we can't say that this is what is really going down. That would be like saying the car was really driving down the road, and now Rolo's saying, yo, this thing is sitting on jacks. Like, how is it even going down the road? We have to be very skeptical.
When people are dealing with like human trafficking, how do you think they keep people silent? How do people get kept silent? It's not hard to figure that out. This isn't hard. We know all the information on this case, and we know probably a lot more from what they're not telling us that we know, because we've investigated it. Some people don't investigate. Some people just want to sit there and let everybody else tell them.
Yeah.
You're not like that. Dago's not like that. Lana's not like, there's a few that like to investigate and go through everything. And I love that, because that's what you need to do.
I think most of us think that we don't know most of what's going on, though. We have little bits of information that we're trying to piece things together with.
But
And
that's
it's not that we have all the information. We have so very little, and it's so frustrating to try and draw a conclusion based on very little, but we're doing the best that we can. And we got to be open to people with theories when
Yeah.
like yourself that have a theory, but we can't go to the bank on it.
No, and I'm not asking anyone to. It's just my theory, my opinion, the things that I found out.
I think it's an interesting point about the
companies that I found
the house
out.
not being the crime scene. I think that's quite interesting.
Yeah,
but
it
it presents a whole different set of troubles, right? Like transferring people that have passed in and out.
We need to do. We need to wait for the footage, the cameras that are around the house.
That's what I've been saying. Yeah,
that's going to be most important. The Linda Lane footage from 9 to 10 or 10 to 11. That's going to be the footage we need. I'm not saying we have the answers as in we can see with our own eyes, but we've all got brains. We can figure out that these kids aren't kids. I keep look until about 2 weeks ago I was looking at this from a mother point of view. My oldest child is 24. My second child is nearly 22. He's the same. He would have been in the same year as Kaylee and Maddie. And I've been looking at it like, oh my God, what if it was your child? Blah blah blah. It's horrendous. Blah blah. And I thought, what are you doing? You're missing everything because you're looking at it like that. You need to step away a little bit and look at it from a police point of view. They can't take things personally because then nothing gets done. You need to step back and look at this for what it really is. 2 people were tortured and 2 other people were killed for different reasons. There's no way that Maddie and Kaylee was for the same reason as Ethan and Sana. Absolutely no way.
What then tell me.
Just from their injuries. Just from their injuries. They don't match. Nothing matches.
Just from injuries?
No, not just injuries, but that's a part of the picture.
Yeah, and I want to know because
so if someone went in there,
if someone separate, but I'm
it is separate.
I listen. I appreciate your thoughts and your theories.
Oh no, I'm not getting aggro. I'm just getting passionate.
No. I appreciate your thoughts and your theories. I want a little more. You know what I'm saying? I want to know what made you think. Like I was asking Eddie. Yeah. That's an intriguing part that I never thought of.
Yeah.
What sparked those thoughts is, where are you coming from? Because it is intriguing, but at the same time, I want to know what led you to think that, what took you to there, you know what I mean? So then if you're telling me that this red brick took you to this, then I want to look for the red brick too. And I want to see what, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to know your end result. I want to see how you got there. So then I can explore that as well.
Well,
besides injuries, why do you think it was separate?
Well, I was
like they didn't have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, no, they didn't know, because Ethan and Zana went missing from Sigma Chi. For 5 hours, nobody knows where they were, but the police know where they were. They're saying they don't, but the police know where they were. We don't know that. They were somewhere for 5 hours. Nobody knows anything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then the girls come home, and apparently Dylan hears Kaylee playing with her dog, but the truth is they were killed when they got home. But I don't know if they were killed in the house yet or whether they were taken somewhere as well.
Let's keep in mind that Kaylee's sister got video footage from the neighbors to see that when they arrived home, they took the dog out for a walk.
Right. They let the dog out, I don't think they went for a walk.
Okay.
I think they let the dog out.
I think that was left up to interpretation. The taking the dog for a walk or letting the dog out.
Yeah.
I don't have any strong opinions either way. I'm just,
nor do I.
Working on memory. Kaylee's sister is on record saying
mine's not the best.
Mine's pretty good actually.
And I appreciate that, Jesse, because I was going to mention that as well.
Yeah. So So we don't, and we certainly don't think Kaylee's sister's involved. So we have to take at face value. So she claims that she saw at 1:56 the arrival, and then some interaction with the dog
Something
going
with the
outside.
dog, yes.
Yeah. So does that still work with your theory then?
It does, yeah, because I think the girls were then taken. I think whoever was in the trees with masks on and all that, they took the girls.
Xana and Ethan were already gone.
They were already gone at 9 o'clock from the Sigma Chi.
But the same perpetrators returned.
Yeah.
So
maybe
what, they kidnapped them and took
slightly
them
different.
somewhere? I mean,
Yes.
What's your motive theory?
I think personally, because of Kaylee's injuries, I think her killer was jealous and twisted.
So
Really,
you think it is
really,
Jack then?
I don't
that what you're
know.
saying?
I don't know, but I think all the fraternities are involved in each other's things going on, and
that's a lot of people to keep quiet, man.
Exactly, and it's a lot of people to investigate. It's a long time, CJ.
That's a lot of people to keep quiet. I don't.
No, if you looked
That's
at,
a lot of people to keep quiet.
Have you looked at their pledges? What they do? Have you seen the chants that they do? Have you seen the secret things they do? They're not kids.
Yeah,
they're young adults. They're not children.
Yeah,
and that's why I had to step back. I had to step back from my mum head and actually look at the details. Now, there was a host. That's why she lived at 1122. She hosted there.
Well, I've heard that there wasn't a host for that house at all.
I would look at her
because I thought there was a host at first, and then there was no host. So
look at Zana's TikTok videos.
Okay.
Because there's men in there that are in their 50s walking around with drinks in their hands.
Well, yeah.
And all sorts.
Watch Truth and Transparent. That's why I'm referring to him as the group.
Yeah.
That's why when we're talking about the Grub truck, I guarantee the group is part of the viewers.
CJ, keep going with the Grub truck. I'm not dismissing any material here. I think it's all important.
And I think
so. You guys are fully buying the Truth and Transparency stuff about basically the speculation that they were working.
No, I'm not saying they were working. I'm saying the shit exists.
What we're saying is the drugs were there. It was a party house. There was people they didn't really know going in and out of there the whole time. That's been proven from body cams, TikTok videos, Instagram videos. That if you research everything, you can put the picture together a little bit better. If you're just listening to mainstream media and other channels, it doesn't work. You can't figure things out.
I agree, but all these pieces sometimes, you can make multiple puzzles out of these pieces. It can go in one direction or the other, and it's really difficult to know if you're going the right direction. So unless you've got like a complete puzzle, but I truly don't believe that anybody's working with all the pieces. I think that there's enough missing pieces that it's very difficult to put it together.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just, I don't know. I think Kaylee's injuries were horrendous. This girl was beaten to the point of unrecognizable.
I think the fact that she was only there for that brief period of time.
We don't know the extent of all the injuries.
She was moved out. She arrived with a brand new car, and she's only going to be there. And she was probably leaving the next day forever.
Yes.
And that timing does not implicate BK.
No.
And it suggests that there was some motive involving the person that was there for that brief period of time and was about to be gone forever, and the 6 or 10 phone calls to Jack in the middle of the night. And all these people that want to believe that BK is guilty say, how do you explain all these coincidences? And I don't intend to explain all these coincidences, but I can present you with as many coincidences that say something else.
Right.
Either
side. Either side.
Yes.
Really.
So I'm not the guy with a theory. If you want to see a theory, CJ, I can't give you one. I can only give you this doesn't make sense, and this doesn't make sense on the other side. And so I'm very firm on the fact that I don't know what happened, but I have a pretty good idea of what didn't happen. And
that's it.
Right.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. I'm not a BK lover like everyone likes to think. I'm just a truth seeker. And nothing points to Brian Koberger. Not one single thing points to him. apart from a
Except
tiny little bit of
DNA. Yeah.
no, it was a speck of transfer DNA inside of a metal thing. I mean,
Yeah,
The
that's
DNA
not.
is
still his
the
name.
DNA is garbage. It's just
Right.
Yeah,
garbage.
it's not
That's
going to
not
go
true.
into court. It's not.
I mean, Ken
It'll be
Mains is one of
heavily
the most
argued
famous
either
cold case
way.
investigators in America, and he just did a video 2 days ago saying touch DNA is too shaky. Can't trust it for anything.
No,
No,
can't use it.
and many others have said the same thing. So the DNA doesn't put him in
Yeah.
the house; it's garbage. But when you say that there's no evidence, there's a lot of evidence that makes you ask a lot of questions about BK. Like what was he doing? What I think the most when I said I don't have any theories, I've got some like little brief.
Everyone's
Yeah,
got
you
a theory.
Yeah, you do.
but yeah,
Spill
no,
it,
I mean,
Spill it.
I think he's got to have some involvement. Like he's, how did his DNA get up? Even if somebody's framing him, why are they framing him? You know what I mean?
I have a
questions.
theory on that.
There is questions
Why
to ask
him?
about BK. Like I think he's got some involvement.
Do you know what I think happened? This is another theory, but it's just in front of my main theory.
There's a document.
I think BK did get a job with Pullman Police, and I think he worked from home because he was doing like cyber stuff. He was probably able to work from home before he started the college. I think he found stuff out because in the summer, just before he came to the college, then 3 police chiefs resigned because of misconduct, and there's also another captain that's currently on home issued home, he's working from home because of sexual misconduct.
That's kind of bombshell stuff, CJ. So sorry, Karen.
That's all right.
So there's evidence of him being at another location other than the King Road address. Is that a verifiable account that we can trust?
I can't even trust the shit that they're saying he was at the house.
I can't see it.
You know what I mean? Like,
I didn't think he was going to provide an alibi because by providing one, you can get caught up, right? If you don't provide one, then they can't give you that. Well, we can put you here thing. But if he actually provides an alibi, at that point, maybe he's not involved. Maybe he really is innocent.
Yeah.
Let me see.
I think he was set up by police, but not Moscow.
By
I think
what?
I think he was a
Higher agency?
whistleblower. He was a whistleblower in Pullman, I think. And that's why he didn't physically work there when he started his PhD, because he whistleblowed on the sexual misconduct and stuff that was going on there. You can find all the information. The Pullman police had people go in and investigate them, and they were all given court notice, like proceedings against them, and they all retired instead of going to court. 3 main people in Pullman police.
I saw that, but
yeah.
But let's face it, cops are people. People do bad things. People
No,
commit
I'm not.
sexual assault.
I'm just
Cops
saying. I
commit
think
sexual assault.
I'm just saying. I think BK whistleblowed on that because no one knew about it. They'd lied to the university that this was happening in the university grounds.
It wouldn't be a big window of time for him to do that, though, because he had just he was only in Pullman for what, 8 months or less than a year, right?
Well, they said since June,
Yeah.
but there's also he was up there before that, but
he was in
it's
April.
News Nation shit. You just never, April, May, somewhere around there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the PCA had enough to arrest him, but now, because
There's
it's
no
just
evidence
probable
in it.
cause. But when you look at it now with everything that's coming out, it's like, okay, did you really have enough when it comes to what's... Yeah, we can read the document.
If they don't got any more than what's in the PCA, he's walking.
Yeah, definitely.
And I almost wonder if them going after the DP is just a way to try and get him to confess somehow, because I can't remember what I was watching something.
And it came right after Ann Taylor dropped those bombs about no DNA, and she dropped that bomb of like that statement of they've got, basically she came out in a drawn out way and said they got nothing. And then they're like, we're giving you the death penalty then. It was really like almost like a childish tit for tat. But if I could make one point, CJ, as to what Eddie said about his theory, and I'm not completely down with Eddie's theory about Bill Thompson, but he's theorizing that Bill Thompson wants this to go away, wants to drop, doesn't want to be embarrassed by taking it to trial. That sort of goes along with my theory about the prosecution wanting to find they need obviously to have forensic experts testify on their behalf. And we heard about Henry Lee the other day. I think that's quite significant. Nobody's talking about it.
Yeah,
but Henry
that other
Lee
case
got found liable for, and he's isn't he the most famous forensic expert in the world? Henry Lee?
I don't know about that.
But he was the guy. He was the guy in the OJ trial. He was the guy in like the John Benet Ram. So I mean, if he's not the most, he's certainly one of the most. He's 80 years old. I mean, everybody knows who Henry Lee is. I'm not even a true crime guy, but I've seen that guy's face on court TV a few times. And he just got found liable. It's going to cost him millions because his expert testimony resulted in the wrongful conviction of a bunch of teenagers. So now, right after that happens, you got to go out, you got to get yourself a forensic expert to testify against Kohberger on shaky, crappy DNA evidence. Isn't that gonna be tough? Like if you're a forensic expert, you're like, this just happened to Henry Lee. Now you want me to go fry Kohberger when you got nothing? Like,
that's scary.
I'm not risking my career for that.
No.
You know what I mean?
Because your credibility comes into question at that point.
Yeah, I do actually think they're going to struggle for experts. Yeah,
you lose
everything. They will struggle.
Like before you came on, I was saying to CJ, anybody they get, as soon as they start giving the story, I believe they're going to be able to dig up contradictory statements from the expert that's testifying, saying, well, here you're telling us that Kohberger was definitely there based on this. But when you spoke at this university, you said that this touch DNA doesn't mean nothing. It doesn't mean the person was in the building. It doesn't mean they were present.
Transferred from anywhere. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter which expert they get. You're going to be able to crucify them in cross-examination. And so you got to find somebody that's willing to sign up for that. You're either going to have to pay them a lot of money or take somebody who doesn't know what they're doing.
Bill hasn't got any money left.
There'll be somebody, but like I said, it's going to be one of those parts where it's going to be like the biggest highlight of the case, but it's going to have the decision it's not going to be based. It's going to be the highest point, but the decision isn't going to come from that because everybody, I think at the end of the day, when the defense and the prosecution are given both sides, I still think the jurors are going to be like, I don't frickin' know. This document just dropped here, and
CJ, before you start reading, before you start reading, I need to go and start cooking dinner and stuff. So I'll come off here, but I'll stay in chat. And I can't see anyone in chat, so I just want to say hello and goodbye to everyone, and to you, Jesse, as well. Thank you for the
thank you, Kara.
Thoughts and not being horrible to me. And CJ, I love you as always.
No, I love you.
If I was horrible to anybody, CJ wouldn't have me back. No. He's all about being
I appreciate you.
Which is why I'm here.
Cara and Eddie, you're both bringing up stuff that I just didn't even.
It's just possibles. It's just possibles. That's all. It's just theories and possibles, but they're not conspiracy theories. They're just theories. Because something happened in that 5 hours. Something happened to Ethan. Something, that this happened to them, and we need to figure out why and who. I'm kind of getting there, but I'm not certain enough to drop names and all that.
Right.
But
well,
I'm getting there slowly.
No, we appreciate your hard work and your efforts too. And really, like when it comes to that other stuff we were talking about, I'll definitely look into it. On an episode like
and the Grub truck as well, CJ. Keep on with that as well, because it's all there for a reason. Everything's there for a reason, even if it's not clear straight away.
Yeah,
it's all leading up to something. Everything that's dropping is leading up to something. And don't be surprised if there's no court, because They've got no
Oh, I wouldn't
evidence.
be.
So
It's been
they
a
can't be
surprise
caught without evidence.
ever since the case started. It
Yeah.
was a surprise to me when they were saying unalive self unalive. That was
Yeah.
a surprise right from the
Yeah.
get go, and that's
Yeah, yeah.
before they even extended the police tape to the parking
I
lot.
know that as
you know?
well. Like, yeah, none of it makes any sense. So you've got to look at different things than what they're telling you, because that doesn't make sense what they're telling us, you know. So you have to open your mind to that little bit more, and just be open to everything, and we'll get there. We'll all figure it out together if everyone stops arguing. And
yeah, and we'll check out some of your other videos.
Oh yeah, no, you
Still
don't.
pretty early, so we'll.
It's
No, I'm gonna
basically
check
what
out.
I'm saying now. You know, it's basically
Yeah.
kind of just being respectful for the victims. You know, we need to find the right people. That's the only way we can respect the victims, is by the truth coming out. You know, not the agenda from the police, not why Brian Koberger, because there might not even be a reason why it's him. It might just be somebody. Somebody has to sit in jail while the investigation goes on, you know, because no one would go back to college. No one would. He looks good. I don't think he's been mistreated in any way, shape, or form. He just looks good. For someone, look at Richard Allen. Look at the contrast between guilty and innocent.
Well, yeah, he's supposed to look good. I'd want to
No,
look
Richard
good too.
Allen doesn't look good, though, does he?
No,
Richard
I'm saying
Allen
Koberger. You're talking
Yeah.
about Koberger. I'm
Yes,
saying that
yeah.
I would want to look good. I would want to be in a suit and tie too. Shit.
Yeah, but that's what. But look at his demeanor compared to someone who we all think's guilty. It's night and day difference, you know. The way he's being treated
Later,
is different,
Dinky.
you know. So just don't rule anything out. That's where I'm at. I'm open to see everything, you know. Take my mum hat off so I can see more clearly, you know. But yeah, but I'm gonna go because I said that about 10 minutes ago, and I'm still talking. So
yeah,
but I'll be
I need to
listening
get
to
to
you
this.
read this document.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you.
Okay,
And
see you
seriously,
later. Yeah.
Yeah, give me some timestamps on that stuff, and I'll.
Yeah,
take a look
I'll
at it.
check it out in a little while once we've had dinner and stuff, and I'll try and find. Okay. Right.
Alrighty.
See you later,
Thank you so
lovelies.
much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Later, and don't dive if you want to hop back up. I saw you hop up there for a second. If you want to hop back up, more than welcome. Okay, so this is, and I guess the document site's down again, huh? Just too much traffic. Let me see. Comes now. Brian C. Koberger, by and through his attorney of record, Ann C. Taylor, public defender, and hereby, here, I'll put it in full screen too. 1 second. Just while we read this document here. That's as fullest as I can get it. Zoomed in as much as I can zoom. Hereby files notice in response to the demand for alibi in compliance with Idaho Code 19519 and Idaho Criminal Rule 12.1. Mr. Koberger notes that Idaho Code preserves his constitutional right to silence as well as to testify on his own behalf. Mr. Koberger stands firm on his constitutional right as well as the statutory recognition of that right. Noteworthy is that an alibi indicates a line of proof by which the defendant attempts to show that he could not have committed the crime of which he is accused because he was elsewhere at the time. Elsewhere at the time. A defendant's denial of the charges against him does not constitute an alibi, but as soon as he offers evidence that he was at some place other than where the crime of which he is charged was committed, he is raising the alibi defense. Mr. Koberger's defense team continues investigating and preparing his case. Evidence corroborating Mr. Koberger being at a location other than King Road address will be disclosed pursuant to discovery and evidentiary rules as well as statutory requirements. It is anticipated this evidence may be offered by way of cross-examination of witnesses produced by the state as well as calling expert witnesses. They're saying he's got it.
They're saying it's Bethany Funk, I think.
They're saying he's got it. And isn't that interesting, Jesse?
Doesn't that indicate that the
Wouldn't
Bethany
that-
Funk testimony is what is his exculpatory? That's his alibi. Is Bethany
Isn't
Funk.
that
That's what it
isn't that
sounds like
some
to me.
shit, man? That's what it sounds like to me too. That's what it sounds like to me too. And then it makes you wonder, what's up, Pappy? And then it makes you wonder all this shit that we've been hearing about this BKBF.
The car and everything. I mean, if that's his car, he wouldn't dare have the balls to provide that alibi, right? Because all they need is one picture of his car or anything, and then he's guilty as sin, right? So if he's actually going to come out and say, I wasn't at the King Road house at the time because I was somewhere else, he probably wasn't there, or he's playing a really dangerous game.
Let me see if that's better for you guys. No, probably not. Hold on. Let me try and I'll read it one more time for you guys. You guys are asking. Let me see here. Let me fool with this thing for a second. Try and get it a little bigger for everybody. Let's see. Let's go there. Let's go there. And that's as big as I can get it to have us in the screen too. Who's causing issues? Because I already booted a couple people this show already because I'm not down with their bullshit. Let me see here. So comes now Brian C. Kohberger by and through his attorney of record, Ann C. Taylor, public defender, and hereby files notice in response to the demand for alibi and in compliance with Idaho Code 19519 and Idaho Criminal Rule 12.1. Mr. Kohberger notes that Idaho Code 19519 preserves his constitutional right to silence as well as to testify on his own behalf. So it preserves his right to remain silent as well as testify on his own behalf. Mr. Kohberger stands firm on his constitutional right as well as the statutory recognition of that right. Noteworthy is that an alibi indicates a line of proof by which the defendant attempts to show that he could not have committed the crime of which he is accused because he was elsewhere at the time. Basically saying he's got an alibi to state that he wasn't even in the area when these crimes took place. Defendant's denial of the charges against him does not constitute an alibi, but as soon as he offers evidence that he was at some other place other than where the crime of which he is charged was committed, he is raising the alibi defense. Mr. Kohberger's defense team continues investigating and preparing his case. Evidence corroborating Mr. Kohberger being at a location other than the King Road address will be disclosed pursuant to discovery and evidentiary rules as well as statutory requirements. It is anticipated this evidence may be offered by way of cross-examination of witnesses produced by the state as well as calling expert witnesses. So they're saying, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems like they're saying he wasn't at the property. He wasn't by the property when the crime's taken place. And some of his alibi might even come out during questioning of witnesses or experts. Damn. So you may not even need to hear the alibi before you hear the damn alibi.
You know, I've never said that I think he's innocent.
Thank you.
But this makes me think, you know, he might be. He might be. It's the first time I'm saying that he, you know, because that it takes balls to come out and make those statements.
Maybe that's why he said that when he got arrested in PA, because maybe he was kicking it at Billy's house and he was like, yo, I can't wait to get back there to get exonerated or what. I know I'm going to be charged with it, but I'm going to be set free because I know when I'm going to give him my alibi, damn it, I have proof. Me and Billy were playing Street Fighter 2 all night, you know? It makes you like to not even. So then you got a question. Okay, it doesn't say, you know, he leaves, according to the PCA, leaves the property a couple minutes later down the road as he's going into downtown frickin' Pullman and not the back way, shuts the phone off, but then turns it on 5 something in the morning, heading south of Moscow. How do you, and then you have this path that takes you 50 some minutes south out of the way to go back home, and you take this way out of freaking way crazy ass path with, if you just committed a crime where you unalive 4 people, I don't know why you're taking another 50 some minutes to get home when, you know, but whatever. That's where I'm confused now.
Kara,
How are you tell me that
she said there's no evidence against him. I've always thought there's plenty of stuff that makes you ask questions about him. None of it's been concrete enough to say that you could convict him over it. But now, like you said, all these things that make you ask questions about him, what do they all mean? This case is mind-blowing.
And P. Fox is right. That, like, you literally were able to fucking bust through fucking windows and doors at 2-3 in the morning, you know, like, to go in there like that based off of this shit. Now, he could say he's got a fucking alibi and it might not pan out. I mean, that's just the process of how this shit works. But at the same time, you know,
knowing
why
what
are
we
you
know
going to
about
say
Ann
you
Taylor,
have an alibi?
Is she going to let him say something stupid if he can't back it up?
Right, especially some other.
I mean, she's signing her name to this,
use against them. Yeah, like their own technicality kind of shit. And like you're not. Are you like, how are you gonna, like, your alibi, right? Like, I don't know. This shit's crazy.
His defense team has to vet the alibi before they're going to present it, right?
Right.
So this would mean that they've vetted it and they feel unless they think that the prosecution's case is so weak and they're trying to use this as a bluff to
make
then again. But then again, you'd be risking your reputation.
Yeah, that's a big bluff. Yeah.
Like I say, this isn't just Brian saying I was at my buddy's house. Trust me, this is his defense team signing off on an alibi that they must have vetted.
Yeah, they really did look up the network activity and saw that BK was signed into his Xbox Live account and he was talking and playing while he was doing Street Fighter. I mean, or even some kind of, like, what? It would have to be somebody else. Because if they're saying that his cell phone was this and that and this and that, well, then it can't be his phone placing him at a specific location when the crimes took place in another location, because supposedly his
when has Ellie ever told us that his phone is put him in a specific? They've said it's pinged on towers. Have they ever said anything other than pinging on a tower in Moscow, which really doesn't mean that much, right?
Well, that's stuff that the whole cast stuff, but I don't. But
they've never released. They've never released.
I'm just going off of PCA, like how they, you know, this time, and then they got this path and stuff.
Which is always been suspicious.
Yeah, it's always been suspicious from the beginning. I mean, hell, Sleuthy Goosey even put out a really great fucking post of a picture. I got it somewhere on my Twitter that I retweeted it.
With the radius,
showing the towers, where the towers were at, the radius. Yeah, exactly. I mean, shit. Back when Lori Vallow's case was going on, and I'm sitting there listening to her expert witness for that trial talking about cell phone pings and shit, and I'm just like, damn, I didn't know it was like here. I was thinking, you know, in some general area, but as that expert was talking about, you know, the scientifics of the cell phone pings and towers and the technology and all that stuff, and how really even Crime Talk, we watch Crime Talk all the time. Scott Reich, he's a defense attorney. He's even stated that he, there was a client of his that was being charged with an unalive in a situation, and he even presented it to, to the jury, like, can you tell me that my client was specifically at this location and not 30 blocks away? And they said no, and his client got off.
Well, you know what I've been saying about it is, based on the cell phone data, if it's truly so accurate that you can pinpoint him at the house, well, then why don't you use it to recover the K-bar? Because based on Le's theory is that he, took this long route home, and of course they didn't find anything in the house, they didn't find anything in the car. Then they're suggesting that he ditched it on that. He went to some more rural areas. Clearly, they're suggesting that he would have ditched the evidence in those rural areas. Well, if you have his location pinpointed within a matter of meters, go find the K-bar then.
Right.
And if you can't use it to find the K-bar, what can you use it for? You telling me it can tell you he was in this house, but you can't tell me it can tell you where he stopped to drop off the evidence?
Well, and I about shit a brick too when I was listening to the testimony in the Vallow trial, because they were talking. I didn't even know this shit. Like, this is what blew my mind the most, is a tower could be a half a mile away and another tower could be 2 miles away. And if the tower that is a half a mile away has a freaking structure in front of it and the one that's 2 miles away doesn't have any obscurities, the phone's going to connect to the tower that's 2 miles away, even though there's one that's a half a mile away, because it's got a better signal from the one that's 2 miles away. So that's why you can't tell if they're 30 blocks down the road or not, according to Scott Reich. And I trust him. Like, that dude's a really badass lawyer. And you mix it with all these expert testimonies from all these other cases. Now,
is he the guy that found the glove outside of 112?
No, that was the interview room dude, I think, right?
Oh, okay. I get those two guys mixed up.
Yeah, I always wondered about that too, because there was a bunch of talk I noticed a couple days ago.
Yeah, some people speculate that he planted it to get on TV.
Is that what? I don't know. He's like an investigator or something, ain't he? Like a prior investigator or something, or wasn't he like prior LE? I wouldn't see him.
I mean, I've watched all those guys, but I have to stop listening to them because everything that comes out of their mouths just seems so biased and so slanted towards, like Jennifer Coffendorfer and Ken Maines. If you haven't seen the recent Ken Maines video, I really strongly recommend it, because at one point in the video, you know what he says? He says, law enforcement is biased. And he says, I'm biased. He points at himself. And I've been saying that about him forever. But kudos to him for acknowledging it. And he said, you get so involved with these cases, you get so passionate about it that every little piece of information you see is evidence against the guy that you want to convict. And even though I know that I'm supposed to be objective and I'm not supposed to be biased, I can't help it. And he, and that's what he used, that explanation to explain why he thought this evidence in the John Benet Ramsey case was useless. So he's smart enough to realize that, yet he's not smart enough to realize that he's been biased in his description of the Koberger case. And I think most ex-LE always seems to have that same problem that Ken Maines so accurately described. Is you're seeing what you want to see. When you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And if you approach these cases with emotion and you identify with the victims and you feel bad for the families and you want so bad to find the perpetrator, it clouds your judgment.
I think it's just we're all working with different grains of wood, man. We're all different trees on this earth that we're about that oxygen. And I don't, it's just, I look at it like this, and you make a great point, and it's 100% true. But look at it like this too. Okay, so my profession was auto detail. Now, I you hear my thoughts when it comes to being able to clean out a vehicle like some of these experts claim can be cleaned out. I'm coming from a different wood grain where I'm saying that I don't even think the experts are correct. And that's experts talking. And so,
Experts are overrated, man.
Well, that too. But I'm just saying, like, I can see how former LE it does appear that way. But at the same time, I think it's just a different wood grain. And so I think, like with the Chris guy you're talking about, I think a lot of the stuff that he maybe isn't starting to come around to is because he almost feels like he has to stick to some of the shit that he was saying before, even though some other stuff has been
Ken
coming
Maines,
out.
is that? I was talking about Ken Maines.
The Chris. Oh, you were talking about. I thought it was something about Chris too.
The interview room guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. No, I just made a blanket statement. I just included him in a blanket statement about categorizing him as basically mainstream media.
Yeah.
And like, for example, Kara just came on here and gave us a theory, and you were very gracious to provide her a platform and talk to her and give and be open to that kind of thing. That's not happening in mainstream media. That's not happening on other programs, because you'll lose your show, and they're very careful to follow the narrative that to fit. Well, I've heard you speak about it on your show many times. There's a narrative, there's a line that you have to walk, and when you're working in a mainstream niche, you have to toe that line. And you yourself and Dago, you're not in that. You're sort of independent, right? You're an independent creator.
Yeah, that's what we are.
You want.
Yeah,
you can have anybody you want on your show and entertain any theory they have. Mm-hmm. These other guys that are sort of more in that mainstream media niche, they just have to toe the line. So they can't be objective. They could secretly think BK is innocent, and they're never going to say that, because that's not that wouldn't win them any friends in the niche that they're in.
Yeah, they could shut the camera off and then talk to their significant other and be like, "Damn, babe, I just don't know anymore." But on camera, it can be a completely different thing, and I'm sure it exists. Because you gotta, like, some of this shit, man. Like, I was there. I'm telling you, the first 4 months or so, it was like, this dude's guilty as shit. He's a sick motherfucker. Like, creeping, all of this other stuff, But then, like you said, I'm independent. I'm not worried about Quilted Northern. I don't have a boardroom telling me I need 4% growth every single quarter. I'm not into that game. I'm my own small business, and I answer to me. You know what I mean? And if I know that I'm coming from the heart, then I'm not going to be wrong. And that's part of coming from the heart and trying to find the truth is, dude, the amount of people, up until maybe a month ago, like, until people started, other well-known creators started saying the same things. Up until then, dude, for 2 months, you wouldn't even, none of you guys would even understand the ridicule of what the fuck I was going through, because I kept saying the same shit that I've been saying from before the ridicule, during the ridicule, and after the ridicule. I've not changed where I'm coming from.
Well, there was a major event that happened worldwide just a couple years ago, and a lot of us took some pretty hard stances on that. And it seemed like everybody was against us, but you stick to your guns, and I like where I'm standing now, CJ.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, because it's about what you feel is right. Yeah, 100 always does. It may not happen right away or when we want it to, but it always does come. Always. Ellie is supposed to stick. I think it's just we're just different. I'm not saying that they are supposed to stick up for each other. I mean, you got to think about it though. They are part of a brotherhood. You know what I mean? So you are, and maybe that's why people think, or because I can see it. Trust me. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I think um it's just a different wood grain. Like we're not part, or we haven't been. Some of us haven't been part of that. So that's why we look at it from an angle that we do too. We're just
As a
different wood
civilian,
grains.
you have the ability to empathize with an accused and say, well, this could be me. But as LE, you don't have that ability. They're like your enemy, right? My job is to detain you, arrest you, prosecute you. You're not as inclined to empathize with those people because they've been dehumanized to you. Your job is to take them down. My job isn't to take people like that down. If you're a regular person, a civilian, so to speak, this could be your neighbor or your drinking buddy at the bar, or they could find themselves banged up by the cops, and you empathize with them. Cops don't empathize with accused, in my opinion.
Well, I think it's hard to label everybody that way. I think they're all different. You know what I mean? There's LE friends of mine that I have that think this whole case is bullshit. You know, and there's some. I think there's just a lot more of the ones that are doing it that way, and that's why they stick out more than others. Like Ruckus. I had Ruckus on last night, and some of the chat was feeling that way too. But at the same time, he's like, "Yo, I'm a month. I haven't checked out anything in the last month and a half, or whatever." And I know that there's cases that he covers that it isn't about that. It's about, there's some fucked up shit going on, especially with those types of agencies. And that's why he gets some of the ridicule or the hate that he gets, is because he doesn't, it's not always about that.
I'm not familiar with Ruckus. I've never seen him on your show, but what
he's
about Sarge? Is on Dago's show a lot? Have you done shows with Sarge?
Yeah, Sarge has been on the shows quite often.
And is he XLE, or was he a sheriff's deputy or a prison guard or something like that? He's just he's a civilian.
No, just regular civilian. Works, muscle cars and steaks. But shout out,
like
Sarge.
my muscle cars and steaks.
He kind of disappeared for the last few weeks. I guess he's taking a break from YouTube and true crime and all that stuff, which it sucks because he always had really great points.
As somebody watching, I enjoyed his takes.
Yeah, I always enjoyed having him on. So hopefully he'll be coming back around. I know he was talking about starting up his YouTube channel again before he took a hiatus, but we love him too. Anytime he wants to be on. So, but and when he does come back, I can't wait, because he has great points, great views, great thoughts, and he comes from common sense too. So
I know he feels really strongly about the touch DNA, that you can't.
He's the one that actually gave us a heads up on the CC Moore stuff that we watched a few weeks ago when it came to the DNA.
Yeah, I would say that he's the one that got me thinking and looking into it more and trying to come up with some stuff. So give him credit for that.
We miss you, Sarge. Come on back whenever you're ready, buddy. I know you got to deal with this and this first, and then it's technology secondary. So
it's amazing some of the people you meet in this in the true crime world, and the Sarge and Rollo yesterday on Dago's show, and Rory bursts on the scene. He's like an average. He's not like a expert, so to speak. He's an average guy that just thrust himself into it and did a really good job.
He's got the availability to be there. You know what I mean? That's one of the best things that you can have, is that availability.
And a little bit of common sense on his shoulders as well.
Oh yeah. Plus, he's one of those that doesn't accept the toe line either. You know, he's about exploring what's out there as well, even if it's uncomfortable or things that people don't want to talk about. And that's what we all are. We're all, you know, me, Dago, Rory, Jules, Harsh, like we're Drunk Turkey Show. We're all our own unique. We're about the same. We're all unique in our own way, and we go about it in the way that we are going about it. But it's always about the truth and trying to find it no matter what. Even though we may come from different sides of the block, we're all still trying to get to Central Park together, you know.
Yeah, I watch all those shows. I like everybody that's on all those shows. I watch Lana as well. Lana's got some really interesting stuff.
Big time.
You know,
I appreciate her.
She's a pretty cool chick. You know, you can tell us. I'd like to have a drink with Lana. She, you know, she strikes me as somebody who would give you some interesting conversation.
Yeah. It'd be one of those nights where we're out until like 5 a.m, you know. It just, I can imagine.
She seems like she goes her, you know, she's on a path of her own though. Like she's a little bit off to the side and separate from what everybody else is doing. And Jules is, you know, she's awesome. A bad woman. She's a bad woman.
Awesome.
It's like she's on point 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm. Ain't about that BS, you know. There ain't no time for it, and she's.
I think the thing I like about you and Dago the most is that you're both very humble. I wouldn't accuse Jules of being humble, but she's on point so much she doesn't need to be, right?
Right. We're all unique in our own way,
and not that you are not, but yeah. I don't think she would have the patience that you and Dago have for guests on the show, and you know. A lot of other things.
I mean, I've been called cold a few times. You know what I mean? Because there's a reason why not much drama happens here. You know, because I'm like I said, I've already bounced a couple people today because it's like, yo, I'm not digging your vibe, so I just don't need it. You want to talk shit about my intro? You can get the fuck on. I don't need you. It's just the way it is. But yeah, like Jules, I love her, man. She's so awesome. I wish I was available more during the day so I could have her on the show.
I just got to make sure I don't do anything that makes her call me Little Mister. You know, if Jules is calling me Little Mister, I must have done something wrong.
It's hot as fuck there though, and that makes you crabby too sometimes. I know that. I get crabby as shit from this heat, so you never know. What's up, Cryptic? What's up? Jana Banana. So if he can prove he was somewhere else, then why not say it? Get out of it. It's a process. There's a reason. Listen,
she needs to go and watch your video on the West Memphis 3. Everybody knew they were innocent for years. So, you know, this idea that because you're innocent, you're just going to get out of jail. These were kids that were proven innocent by DNA and irrefutable evidence, and they stayed in jail for how many years, CJ? After it was proven they were innocent, and then the state of Arkansas made them plead guilty before they had to agree to plead guilty before they would even let them out.
Right. So they could. Yeah, man. But I did hear the right things starting to take place now. That there's something going through. I'd have to look it up. There was something going through recently where they're gonna be able to, and I don't know, I'd have to double check it, but I could have swore there was something news coming out about how they're in process of getting the guilty taken off. So where I think where they're going to be able to open up the investigation. No, I didn't.
Okay, well, I was in your chat when somebody came, because somebody comes in your chat and says you got to check out this interview with Tim Pool, and as soon as they said that, I clicked the link and I stopped watching you. Apologies, but I started watching that like immediately during that live. I watched it for about 10 minutes, and then I came back in your chat and I said, CJ, you got to do a video on this. And I don't know whether you actually saw that or not, but after watching the Tim Pool interview for 10 minutes, I could see that the parallels were so strong that,
Yeah. With the Idaho4 case. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It is.
And with especially with all these people saying that feel so strongly that they should fry BK, I think they all need to go and look at that case and look at an example of how you can see how innocent people get framed up and banged up for something.
Yeah, especially, and they have other DNA as well, and they don't have DNA from the accused to place them at the scene either. And yeah, it's like that's when who was it? Oh my gosh, somebody had brought that case up, had called in. Was it might have been Yoli. Somebody had called in and brought that case up, and then she started to, no, it was Pagan Ways had called in, and she brought it up, and then she started explaining it to me, and I'm like, holy shit. So then I instantly was doing a show about it that night, because I'm like, this is crazy. I want to, like, this shit does exist. And it was, like, seriously, go check out that episode. It's from a couple weeks ago, West Memphis 3. I didn't get to finish it because when you start to get into
do you remember if you got a lot of views on it or if it did well? You must keep track of your views.
Flora doesn't get very many views.
Just Idaho. Only Idaho gets views.
Not necessarily only Idaho, but these smaller, very, very corrupt cases that don't get much airplay just don't get the airplay, man. They just don't. I mean, Flora, if anybody knows about Flora, the Flora fires, the Flora 4, how is that one not one of the most talked about cases out there? I'll never understand. And you can go back to my videos and you can see 200-300 views and that's it. And it's just like, what the heck is, I just don't understand it.
I know the Rudy Farias thing blew up for like a week, and I haven't heard anybody say anything about it for what, two weeks now, 3 weeks?
I did have some stuff on it, but I just wasn't able to talk about it. But that's odd too. You know what I mean? Like, you're missing for what, 8 years, I think Jules said. She came in the show one morning and was discussing it because it was
she did a video about it, maybe more than one. But again, that was a few weeks ago, and then it's just it's sort of faded away, and nobody's talking about it anymore.
Yeah. It's sad that some of them don't, and that's why I wanted to bring up the West Memphis and then have the video about the similarities of it and let people know that this shit exists. Like, you can say all this shit, but here's a case right here where it exists. I couldn't go too much into it because when you're talking about the injuries and the crime scene and things like that, it was just I have to find a different way to approach that kind of content to make it to where it's not as triggering as it possibly could be if you really dig into the case when it comes to the evidence in the crime scene. It's really, really disturbing. But it's definitely a case that really does mimic in a lot of ways the Idaho4 case and what's taken place, how the evidence was acquired, how shit's going down when it comes to charges. So many. It's horrible to think that could happen to you, a family member, a friend, maybe even your next door neighbor or somebody you don't even know. Right. Somebody you don't even know. The fact that kind of shit can happen. And it's not just, when you're talking about that stuff happening, at first, yes, it's unfortunate that there's victims already in these crimes. But when this shit kind of takes place to these other people, then they also become victims of that whole crime as well. And you're not talking, it's the amount of people that get affected, not just the people directly involved when it comes to the original victims and
Well, didn't some of BK's family already lose jobs over this?
yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought I
I
heard
mean,
his
I'm
sister
sure they've
lost her
been,
job.
dude. I'm sure they're side-eyed like fucking crazy when they go to buy a loaf of bread from the damn store. I bet people just, you know, I can't imagine. I can't imagine. And the fact that this shit can just happen and people can just like, it's about not being wrong in those cases or trying to hurry up, for community or these different things that take place, why this shit exists instead of them just being honest and saying we don't have it instead of making it.
One thing to think about, CJ, is people keep on bringing up what people are saying about BK after he was arrested, after he was accused. And I really think that people are not using their brains to think of the bias that people are under when you're asked to comment on a guy who's recently been accused of being an SK and he's wearing an orange jumpsuit. Your comments are going to be biased. You're not going to get unbiased comments from somebody when you ask them about a guy in that situation. So the only real relevant comments to me are what people would have said about him prior to that happening. And I'd like to propose like maybe it's been done, maybe I'm just unaware, but a social experiment that you could do in like a university where you take a student and you put him in the student newspaper as winning an award, like student of the year, valedictorian, whatever. Give them some kind of a social boost, and then let all the other students read about that, and then go around and take comments about that guy. Or conversely, say he's rumored of committing a SA or something, and start that rumor, and then ask for comments on about that guy, because what you'll find is everybody's going to say, "I knew it." This is just human nature, and it's the same thing in my business in predicting sporting events. After the game's over, everybody knows who was going to win, right? I knew it, they say. Should have known. You know what I mean? Like Captain Hindsight.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it doesn't matter what you say after the game. It only matters what you said before the game. And it's a lot harder to know who wins before the game than it is to know who wins after. So, I really don't put much credence in the comments about a guy when he's in an orange jumpsuit and sitting in jail.
No. And, listen, let's be honest. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of girls out there that'll say, "Oh, he's such a great guy," but I'm sure there's a couple chicks out there that'll be like, "Yo, CJ is a fucking dick." I mean, that's just the way it is. I'm sure you could find a couple.
Yeah, but if you make the big time,
I'm an asshole. But there's a lot of girls
if you make the
that'll
big
be like,
time, CJ, if you become like if you become the Joe Rogan of true crime, everybody that used to know CJ is going to be like, "Man, he was all. I always knew he was brilliant. I always knew he'd be." You know what I mean? Like that guy. They're only going to say positive things if you're a successful dude. Now, if you get locked up and on a serious charge, they're going to say the exact opposite. Yeah, if they finally catch up to you for taking down 7-Elevens, you're going to be in real trouble.
No, they never will, because I've never been in one, so it's cool. But yeah, no, it's true though, man. Like that's why, like, yeah, I was sucked into it in the beginning, like I really was like, damn, these girls are coming out, oh my gosh, this questionnaire, oh, these two IDs are connected. Why would he have two IDs inside of a glove, inside of a shoebox? Oh my God, that's sketch as hell. And then the paperwork comes out. Where's the connections? So then it's like, that's why I was after that, dude, after Nancy Grace's, this kind of shit, and how I just had enough when I heard that BK broke into some girl's house to then know that she was going to contact him to hook up surveillance, that then know that she was going to contact him to fucking set it up, set the password up, that he was going to know she didn't know how to change her password. He was going to know she wasn't going to change her password after he left. And that she, it's like, yo,
ridiculous story.
I'm
I
done
just
with
had
MSM.
cameras. I just had security cameras put into my house, and the guy that did it, I'm sure he knows. I had him put the thing into my phone. I mean, he's a neighbor, he's a friend. Yeah, it's a normal thing, I think. Like if you asked your neighbor or your buddy to come over and hook up something, and he knows might know your password. I don't think that's that abnormal.
No. And like if you have somebody come over to hook your shit up and you don't know how to set up your password, and you're relying on that person to not, you know what I mean? Like if you're not going to say, hey, can you show me how to change it? If you're going to rely on, okay, that person's never going to sign into my wife, you don't know. So
well, and don't most security cameras just show? I mean, they're not like in your bedroom and in your bathroom, right? I mean, they're going to be pointed at your front door.
Right. It's I don't know. It was just the whole like watching her sitting on his computer at home, watching her in her underwear. I'm just like,
Nancy Grace went as far as to speculate what he was doing when he was watching the security cameras.
Right.
I think
and I'm just like, yo, and
she was like Nancy. On there gagging, going, oh.
I love Nancy too. I always have. I always loved playing Nancy, and then that just after that. Shortly before that, I'd be watching News Nation videos and it would have some shocking title, and then you go to watch the video and there was nothing in the video that referred to the title, and that kept happening shortly before the Nancy Grace stuff, and it was just like, okay, man, this is freaking nuts. I was sitting there sucked into all your shit about the IDs and the getting thrown out of bars all the time, like all of these things, I just got sucked into it. And then after you find out,
the Nancy Graces and the Jennifer Coffendoffers of the world are not real. Yeah. They're not real people. They're actors playing a role, delivering what their station thinks is going to
sell. That 4%. Yeah, that 4% growth every quarter.
They're just stirring the pot and going for more drama.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's when I'm like, it is local news. And you guys can see, you can go to any of my shows. How often do I play any of that shit anymore? Ever since all that stuff came out? Not much. I'm going to other content creators that I trust. I'm going to local news sources. I might play a News Nation video here or there, but honestly, I'm just going off documents, local news, because I do trust local news. I think local news are some of the most trustworthy journalists out there. Because even though they get the pressure, they're still digging for the answers. They're not accepting the shit that MSM might be told, by some expert panel member, from this agency or some shit that's just spewing a whole bunch of dumb shit out the fucking mouth. For that, to get back on for that spotlight again, I got to keep having a reason to show up on Nancy Grace or Ashley Banfield or whoever. And the local journalists, I think are the ones that are most trustworthy at this point anymore. I don't even really watch mainstream media at all, even when I'm not doing my show that much anymore, just because I'm not trying to have my mind entertained by some kind of narrative bullshit. So then it's taking my focus off for what I need to work on.
Well, like I say, there was an event that happened 2-3 years ago that opened a lot of people's eyes to what you see on mainstream media and how it doesn't match up to what you're seeing with your own two eyes, and how they keep on asking you don't trust your lying eyes. They keep on telling you, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to trust my eyes. So I don't have any time for mainstream media anymore.
I don't either, man. It's a different day. Like I said, where you want to hop in on a news show, you're going to find more truth on this than you will on mainstream media. 100%. I'm not saying I'll always be right. I'm not saying that I'll be incorrect on shit. We're human. But at the same time, I ain't gonna sit there and spin something a certain way because I don't have that boardroom looking over me telling me I need 4% growth or my ass needs to look for a new job. I am I am my own boss, and as long as I know that I'm coming from the heart, I'm not firing myself, so we're good. And I don't need to answer to
One
nobody.
example of the level of trust that you should have for mainstream media is CNN put out a video of Joe Rogan, and they tinted the color of his skin to make it like yellow to make him look sicker.
Oh,
Do you remember
right.
that?
Yeah,
You didn't know
that's
that?
when they were because he was like against the whole COVID shit,
Yeah,
and
and
he
then
was speaking out about it.
He had Sanjay Gupta on his show, and he
Right.
like came right at him. He's like, "Listen, Sanjay, this and Sanjay was like, hands up in the air. I'm so sorry. You're right." And Sanjay agreed with him, like, "No, man, you're right. That's bullshit." Hopefully, I can say shit on this show. I think you've
You're
said it a
good,
few
man.
times.
You can. Hey, you're good. It's fine.
Anyways,
It's fine.
yeah, but then Sanjay goes on CNN the next day and says Joe's full of it. It was a comical series of events, but I think if you go back to the tape throughout the whole event, the most accurate information was coming from the likes of Joe Rogan, and certainly not the likes of CNN.
Right. And that's why I love Joe Rogan so much. It's actually one of my idols, honestly.
Absolutely.
Not and I don't even mean this as in like a production or anything. He's always been one of my idols since he started.
He's just a real dude.
Right.
He's a real dude.
And that's what it's about. I'm like, dude, this is the common sense approach, not only to like hot topics, but I'm saying about life, man. If you listen to this man's words about how to live life, how to approach life, how to go through life, how to succeed in life, how to, just all of these things about life. The dude, not just a podcaster, a show host. I'm saying as somebody else that's got that third eye in their forehead, he's got one of the biggest ones, and that's why I appreciate him so much, and that's why he's one of my biggest idols, because that's how I approach my life. That's how I approach, situations and things. And I just nothing but the utmost respect, because that at the end of the day, whether somebody or not, you never really know if somebody's about bullshit or not if you don't know him personally. Hell, even when you do, but if you don't, and he's one of those dudes where you can tell, you don't even have to be sitting down next to him having an iced tea. You can tell the dude's real as hell.
Yep.
Yeah, he's awesome.
No, authenticity is it's a big deal, and he's cornered the market on authenticity.
Mm-hmm. And it's just from being real and coming from the heart, man. And that's what I'm saying. You got a lot of these other talk shows that are like about narratives and things like that. You have a house that's built on shaky ground, a shaky foundation. When you come from the heart and you come from who you are, no matter what is being said outside against you or about you, you have that solid foundation. Then you can build the building on top of that, and you can weather any kind of storm. It's those ones that are built on shaky foundations that when that big storm comes through, where'd they go? And that's why Joe is so strong in this market and this genre, is because it started off from that really solid ass foundation. And you've seen the hate coming at him from major places, and it doesn't matter because he's got that solid foundation, because it comes from here and it comes from here. And that's the main thing, man. Main thing.
No, I think in a lot of ways we'd be without Joe. We're already in trouble as a society, but we'd be in bigger trouble without Joe. And we need more up and comers to, he's getting up there these days, and where's the next Joe going to come from?
It's almost like, and I'm not saying there's not other radio broadcasters out there and this and that, because obviously Rogan got his inspiration from somewhere. Okay. But what I'm saying is,
I think he's basically said that Howard Stern was his his inspiration.
He's also a seed that is spawning plants that are that have been blossoming and will blossom in the future. You'll see, it's going to take it.
Well, if you're saying he
taking,
influenced you, maybe you're one of those seeds.
yeah, well, because it's like this. Like, say Joe Rogan didn't come out and I have a show where I'm about what I'm about, then the credibility or the interest of where I'm coming from might not be so accepting or be so understanding without Joe Rogan being the pioneer of that.
And it should give you the confidence to be yourself and know that, that is a formula for success, right? He's built that success on being real, and now we all, the rest of us can learn from that and know that we don't have to act, we don't have to try and pretend we're top G's and bigger than we are to have success. We can just be who we are, be straightforward and honest, and if we're interesting enough, people will want to hear what we have to say.
Right. Explore all, because that's another thing that's big with Joe too. He's not one to sit there and say you're wrong. He wants to hear why you think the way you do. He wants to explore your thoughts too, even if he thinks they're crazy. He still wants to explore them because he's
not afraid to challenge somebody though if they start spewing bullshit.
Right.
He doesn't have any tolerance for bullshit, but he has the patience to hear you out.
The big heart and the big foot, man. That's what it's about. That's how you maintain the balance. That's how you exist in this peaceful, positive, in progress atmosphere.
I'm all about that mantra, CJ. I'm all about that, and that's, like I say, that's what draws me to your show and Dago and Rory and the gang. What you guys are all doing here is I'm a total believer in that philosophy.
Yeah, and that's how we win. Because I'm not trying to, or anybody shouldn't want to try and reach the top of the hill by yourself. Because what fun is that? It's about community. It's about together. It's about doing it together and getting there together, and that's when you have the most fun. And any one of us content creators can sit there and just be out for ourselves 100%. And there are some out there, but like I said, it's not fun when you get up there. Or I can't even imagine it. I'm not there anywhere close, but I can't imagine it being fun if I finally make it to the top of the hill and there ain't nobody to share that experience with. It just doesn't.
You got to give Drunk Turkey Daniel a little bit of credit for being a guy who's sort of on the outside, but still willing to, he works with you guys. He joins your lives. He cooperates. He's a good dude. Obviously, he's a good dude. He does things a little bit differently, though. You know what I mean? Like he's definitely got a different approach. But yeah, he's. I'll give him full marks.
Yeah,
I give him full marks for being a good dude.
Yeah, and he's awesome, and that's one of the things that drew me to their show. Was their approach as well, all of them, all three of them, and the community and the atmosphere that they promote too, and that's why I've always supported them. There's been times where me and Daniel didn't agree on certain things on this show or that show or whatever, and that's the beautiful thing is
I don't think I agree with anything that Daniel says, to be honest with you. I pretty much disagree with everything he says, but I still think he's a good dude.
Nah, we're all just different grains of wood. We're all these.
He's a cop. I've never been known to agree with cops too much. So.
Thank you for the gifted membership, Skittles, to Brandy Wine and True Crime. Thank you. What's up, Cherry? I had Jesse on, and he said that he was on your show for like 3 hours the other day.
6 in the morning is when that show finished. Crime Sleuthin'.
6 in the morning. Yeah, let me know, Sleuthin'. I'm good to hop on anybody's show, really. If it's like about a specific topic and night, I don't even mind not hanging out on my show to go visit another creator show. Seriously, I'm all about the community. That's why even if there's other people that go live at the same time, as my show, I listen. I'm here on my show pretty much 6 days a week. So for an evening when I'm working, it doesn't make no difference for me to go to somebody else's. I actually enjoy it, and I even get nervous getting ready to get up on somebody else's panel still, and I'm a freaking host. So yeah, anytime, just let me know, and it's all good. It's just if you invite me, I am more than willing to come hang out. I just need the invite. That's all.
Well, CJ, I should step down. It's getting late here, and I still have a bunch of other work to do. So.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you hopping up here, and great idea when it comes to previous statements about DNA and such from certain individuals, and highlighting those things as well, because I think that's very informative.
And I think for the community, assuming this goes to trial, as soon as the names are released of the forensic experts that they're going to bring, we all got to start digging and try and find some damning comments from them. When they've said touch DNA is unreliable, it's impossible to clean a car if there's been an unaliving in the car, and because like I said, I did a little bit of digging, and from what I can see, all the experts at some point in their career will have made statements that are going to completely contradict what the prosecution's going to ask them to say.
Especially with this type of DNA, dude.
Like I said, you got to watch that Ken Mains video, because the whole video is basically touch DNA sucks, can't trust it. As a law enforcement officer, I'm biased. I see a guy who's accused. I just want every piece of evidence I gather to nail that guy to the wall. I even know that I'm biased. And even knowing I am biased, I can't help myself. This is what he's saying, right? And I mean, he's telling you the truth. That's the truth. That's what it's all about. And he's not the only one that's saying it.
Is it a harsh video? Is that what you said? It was a
harsh.
Or is it an actual Ken Mains? Did it about it?
Well, Harsh played the Ken Mains video in his video, but I've seen them both. But I would say that Harsh's video was basically just touching on the touch DNA and how he changed his tune there, because he said and I've sent the clips to Crime Sleuth, and that he in the short brief quotes, he said that the DNA on the sheath is good as gold, and then in another video, touch DNA way too shaky for me. Those are word for word quotes. The DNA on the sheath is good as gold, and then another quote, touch DNA too shaky for me. And this is what I'm talking about. And I think you can get those on everybody, because I think any expert in a 20, 30-year career will have said something like that that's going to contradict anything that the prosecution's going to ask. But that video of Ken Mains, he goes deeper into it. He goes into his own personal bias and how now he's able to reflect. He's 60 now or 59 or something, and he's able to reflect that yes, he's got bias, and even though he knows that he has it, there's nothing he can do about it. If he's trying to solve a crime and he's got a guy that he likes for that crime, everything he sees suggests that guy's guilty, and he just and that is, I think, the burden of LE is when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Well, and at the same time, when there's experts saying you can clean out a car to where there's nothing, I'm that person, because I'm biased in that, where I don't think it can be cleaned out.
But what experts are really are experts really saying that? I like I said,
Drunk Turkey.
No, but
had an expert on.
Yeah, whoa, back it up. Said that after the car came back clean. That's like telling me the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl when after they won it. When it's 23-3 Atlanta at halftime. If you weren't saying the Patriots, don't take credit when the Patriots win the Super Bowl unless you were saying that when it was 23-3 at halftime. You know what I mean?
I need to
I'm not
make
interested
sure
in
I
what
don't
you
have
said
a
after.
sports bettor on panel when I make that comment again. That's all I'm gonna say. No, I'm just
No,
playing
no,
with you.
but that's what I'm saying. I'm not interested in what the experts said after that car came back. I'm only interested in what they said before that. And Daniel. I mean, Daniel was very clear. He said, and I quote, "If that car comes back clean, we got some big problems." He's not saying that anymore. And I'd love to be on panel with Daniel and challenge him on that, because I believe he has changed his mind, and I believe it's what Ken Main spoke to about, you're looking for a reason to get this guy, and you're not looking for a reason to get this guy off. That's the nature of being a law enforcement officer.
Yeah, it's a different approach. We're coming from where we are looking for those, and they're looking for the facts to show that, because they're from a brotherhood, and they don't want to think, and I think what it is they don't want to think that somebody from their brotherhood wouldn't be doing the job that they signed up for. You don't.
I think
you
Harsh
don't wanna,
also did a video about that drunk turkey show and about the expert that they had on there, and he sort of demonstrated that she was led a certain way, like the way the questions were framed to her. Because I did see that episode. The questions that were framed to her in a manner that allowed her to answer in a manner that would suggest which direction she was going with it, which was sort of more damning to BK. It wasn't, the questions weren't unbiased when they were asked.
I don't know. I'd have to watch it a little more in depth. I just watched a shortened version on it, but I don't know. I would love to have the conversation about that topic sometime. And I know they hop in the show from time to time, and
I might be getting a little bit
maybe
cocky trying to debate an ex-cop when I'm just a guy that bets on sports. But I do it anyways.
No, I mean it's stuff to talk about. You know what I mean?
Well, one thing is I'm not
but
embarrassed if I'm not going to be embarrassed if I'm wrong about something. I'm not up here pretending I know everything. I have some ideas. I like to express them. If I'm wrong, well, what can you do to me?
Right. No, I mean, in like, we're human, even some of the things that I've even thought about, don't even make sense anymore, but listen, we're all dealing with the same amount of evidence that we're all dealing with, whether we think they're guilty or innocent, or you just don't know. Either way, like I said, Democrats, Republicans, and independents. There's three. You got one thinking they're 100% guilty, another one thinking 100% innocent, and then you got the ones that are like in between. It could be this, it could be this. And we all come from different grains. And so, I do when it comes, because see, if we didn't have other individuals that came from different points as well, or, I seem like I have a bias against when it comes to cleaning a vehicle, but those are the things that also make us question certain things too. And that's the beautiful thing about it all, is maybe your piece doesn't fit my piece, but my piece fits theirs and their piece fits yours. And then we can kind of figure out what that puzzle's looking like. But yeah, I would love to. Yeah, he pops into the shows here from time to time, and it would be a great conversation to talk about it, because I even have questions about the cast and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I know that there's some information out there about it. I'd like to look more into it, because I've always felt that there's issues with the pings, but then if there's,
like I said, if you can pinpoint his location, find the K-bar. Go and get the K-bar then, because if you know where that vehicle was that whole night within 50 feet or something, you should be able to find which route he went, and you should be able to take the dogs out there and dig up that K-bar.
Or something, and who knows, man, like if he did commit this crime and the K-bar was with him, he had so many damn rest areas and gas stations he could have pulled over and tossed it. I mean, you're talking a vast area that would have to be searched, and I don't even know how that could take place. And you know, it always made me wonder, like, what happened to that third dumpster that never got searched because it got taken already before the area was combed through. They never went to the landfill. Never went to the landfill. One dumpster out of 3 of them got away. It was picked up an hour and a half before they showed up at the crime scene. It was already picked up, taken to the dumpster. So,
Still kind of shocked that he's going to provide an alibi. That is a bit of a shocker to me.
I'm interested. Yeah, it is a big deal, and it's like, yo, I wasn't there. I was not. I was somewhere else when the crime took place. And if BF, you know, if the testimony of BF was so important, you know, it makes you wonder, could he have just been somewhere with BF? The reason his DNA was placed on the sheath was because it was a gift to somebody inside the property. You know, if you got sleuthers and you got somebody doing
okay, but the way the
sleuthing,
DNA is on the sheath is almost the only.
like he
and
didn't touch
again,
it, it was brushed. in a way.
Yeah, again, I'm not
Yeah.
an expert. I don't have any just based on what I've heard other experts say. And what makes sense to me is there's 2 explanations for how his DNA got on the sheath. It's his sheath. He touched it all over the place, cleaned it off, and missed a spot. Didn't miss any spots in the car. Didn't miss any spots in his apartment. With this little sheath, he missed a spot. That's one explanation. Explanation 2 is somebody had a sample of his DNA and dabbed it on there. Which one makes more sense?
I mean, it could easily be like his sweater was sitting in somebody's passenger seat, and it wiped up against a sweater that he wasn't even wearing at the time. You know, he didn't even have to be there when his DNA could have been transferred.
I guess that's true. So there's the innocent explanation or the explanation that he scrubbed it. But what LE's going with is going to have to be he scrubbed it and missed a spot, right?
Right. That's other than that, how do you?
Because like I said, if they get a
it?
forensic expert on the stand and you ask that guy how the DNA got on there, and he tries to tell you, well, we think that he was in the house and he was wearing gloves and he took off the gloves and opened the snap and then put the gloves back. You know, that's not going to make any sense. No jury's buying that, right?
No, but it could also be DNA, you know, that you touched while you were putting the glove on, and that transfer could have transferred to the button if you open the button with the glove on, because your touch transfer could be on the glove as well after you open it.
Wouldn't it get on the outside of the sheath, or if you had one finger on the glove that had some of your DNA on it, it would get somewhere else, right?
It would.
Wouldn't it?
It would.
I mean, it would get.
It would.
Yeah, it would.
It
right?
would.
Like,
it would.
So that would. DNA being just on the inside of the buckle is a bit of a conundrum, and it's, you know.
That's why it's
like I say, I'm really looking forward to having the forensic expert on the stand, trying to reconcile this to a jury, and then listening to the cross-examination of, because there's so many things you can say to that, and I'd love to see somebody hand the forensic expert a sheath and say, could you please demonstrate how you would go about getting DNA just on the inside of the buckle and nowhere else on the sheath, please?
Yeah, it would be interesting. And then see both sides and how they demonstrate, you know. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be like the highlight of the case, but then when it comes to deciding innocence or guilty, it's going to be,
But if he's got an alibi, I think the prosecution has to destroy that alibi, or it's over.
Yeah, what is the alibi? That's the biggest question. We know the alibi is him,
because a solid alibi trumps touch DNA in any world, right?
Yeah.
There's no world where a solid alibi doesn't trump touch DNA. I don't think.
No, but when you when you can show prosecution and defense. When the defense can show how this can be placed, you're in as a jury member, it's beyond reasonable doubt I don't know how you're going to get beyond reasonable doubt with the DNA evidence. I don't know. That's just, I could be totally wrong. I just hope that a guilty man doesn't get set free and an innocent man doesn't get convicted. That's all. That's all. That's it.
Agreed. Well, I got to step down, CJ. Thanks for having me on, and
Thank you, buddy.
maybe we'll see you again soon.
Oh, always, man. You're always more than welcome to hop up here. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Good stuff.
Good day, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. And do me a favor, Jesse, when you get back in chat, type something so I can bring up your YouTube channel and and I can share that with the chat. Damn. That was some good shit. And then Cara, thank you for hopping up. Oh, you are a creator. You're a content creator. Let me see here. Yeah, here, let me share your guys's. I'll put Cara's link in chat, and then when I see Jesse type something, I'll put his link in there too. Give me 1 second. So we'll check out a couple videos. I'm going to check out that one harsh video, and then there's a couple other ones I was going to check out as well. And then we'll go ahead and end the show, and then I'm going to go ahead to Dago's and hang out in his chat. Let me see here. So here's Cara. Just seeing the pics. Yeah. It is. There's Cara, and let me see. Once I see Jesse type, I will go ahead and share his channel as well. And Jesse, please, man, since you're into sports betting and stuff, tomorrow night, if you guys are available, I'm going to be doing my NFL coaching game tomorrow night, 7:15 Eastern. I'm not sure who I'm picking, and I'm not sure who I'm going against. Maybe I'll let you guys decide. Let me see here. See if there's anything breaking real quick. Okay, I think I went through. Sad to hear. Bronny James suffered a cardiac arrest. LeBron James's son. So prayers out to that family. Hope everything is okay. This is an update. There's so many updates with that Long Island SK. All right, I'm not seeing anything breaking, so let me go to my folder here. Now, there was the Ken Maines video. I'm going to try and see if I can find that while we watch a couple videos. And then I'm going to go ahead and shut it down, go hang out over at Dago's, and then get ready for the show this evening. I will put out a notification for this evening's show after I get this one shut down. So look for that. And we'll be going through the timestamp episode tonight. And I'm either going to be, I'll be hanging out in chat while we're watching it. And then in between, I'll probably talk on the microphone, because the more I think about it, that is the stuff that's going to be cut out of the video, is the in between. And so I don't think I'm necessarily not going to be on the mic. I think I will be, but it just won't be. I won't be highlighting comments or responding on microphone while the clips are playing, just so it's nothing but the clips and the information. Emails? Okay, give me 1 second. LeBron James's son, Bronny, went into cardiac arrest. I don't know if it was at a game or what, but he's actually getting ready to go to the collegiate ranks. Let's see here. True crime design. I did want to check that video out. What else was there? True crime design. Okay, Unravel, a video from Unravel. So True crime design, Unravel. I want to find that harsh video that you're talking about, Jesse. Let me see. Ooh, and I did want to check out that one from Harsh. So I'm going to wait till I'm going to do Harsh's videos last because we're going to play a couple of his. And then I don't have to change the content credit tag. So the first video I'm going to go to, and I'll check my email here in a second. Sorry, everybody. The first video we're going to go to is True Crime Design. And it's about Grub truck stuff. So I thought we would play this one real quick. So True Crime Design. It'll switch for me. Okay, there we go. Idaho4, what Maddie told Adam, and this is their theory. So I thought, I came across this and I was like, ooh. And I have checked out True Crime Design before. I know people have been shouting out the channel and chat the last couple of days. So I wanted to check this one out. And let me check your emails here. Give me 1 second. If there's anything specific for an email, let me know. And we'll kind of go from there. I'm just going to play a couple videos and then I'm going to go hang out at Dago's for a while.
Why didn't Jack D, who lives so close, not call the family when the niece had already called? Good point.
I don't know.
Oh. Oh, okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. I was going to say, where's the credit? Because that's Dago's voice. Okay, that's cool. Because you never know. Some of these channels
Gonzalez's sister, Olivia, said that her sister's phone records show that she called a man named Jack Ducour several
Great
times
video.
on the night she was murdered. The call log has 6 calls between 2:26 a.m. and 2:44 a.m. to Ducour. Madison Mogan also called the same person 3 times between 2:44 a.m. and 2:52 a.m. The last call to the man on Gonzalez's phone was logged at 2:52 a.m.
One of the victim's ex-boyfriends named Jack has found himself under the microscope, but the victim's family says he has absolutely nothing to do with the gruesome slayings.
The family of slain college student Kaylee Gonzalez is coming to the defense of her ex-boyfriend. Kaylee recently broke up with Jack Ducour after dating him for 5 years. Her father, brother, and sister were asked about the relationship today on CNN.
He is not listed, notably, as someone who has been cleared in the investigation. To your knowledge, is that significant?
No, I don't personally think so.
I remember going through this freaking interview and seeing the differences in the yes and the no, and how his face, the way he looks at her after that, he's like, huh?
Because I think that there's the entire rest of the world that's also not on that list of people who have been cleared.
Right.
We're also aware of a male who Madison and Kaylee had called several times the morning of the November 13th. We do not suspect that individual.
I can't wait to go in that part, Unravel. Starting later this week. That's what I've been saying. It's not proof of life just because the TikTok was active. The calls, not proof. Time of death has not been proven.
I just feel like there's been a couple individuals that were cleared very fast. That may not, maybe he shouldn't have been. And yeah.
She had the strong alibi.
Just really fast.
If you can dismiss.
An hour later, and we're like, what? And I don't know. I don't know anything about those individuals. I just know they were people that, definitely should have been looked at. And yeah.
I don't know what would prevent you from sharing somebody's alibi.
So just so I understand this correctly, your daughter is stating that the night of the incident, that her friend that had this information that told her.
And I know why they didn't use my WSU Mom Kim interviews, because my shit's members only.
Her about this.
Members
and her friend's
only.
boyfriend who attends the University of Idaho claimed to have stayed at your daughter's house.
Correct.
But you were there and you didn't see them.
And I didn't see him, and that did not set well. So what my understanding was that my daughter's sorority sister was at the house at some point, but the boyfriend was not at the house, which I learned after pulling it out of her teeth. And that 2 of the kids involved who were looked at closely he was their ally. And he went to fast food, and then he went to their house, said they played video games all night. Then he left it, he said 7:30 or 8, and then went back and got his girlfriend from Pullman. And that's right. And so I think, so that 7:30 to 8:30.
Great video.
That's, and she went back there. She left with him, is my understanding, was what I was told. I think the sorority sister might have stayed at my daughter's house or not, but knew at 8:30, and there was a narrative discovered and built, and so I called the FBI back, because I called them all the time, and they said, we've discovered several lies in the alibis. And that's what their exact words to me were. They've discovered several lies in the alibis. So I believe that they believe whatever has been told, because the defense's investigator has called me and asked for confirmation, and I'll confirm with anybody. I don't know what he did, if he did or not. I'm not saying I don't know. I do not know. Just want the right person to go down for it, because these kids go back to school in 3 weeks. So that's all I can tell you at this point about the alibi, is that the alibi, according to what I knew as their alibi, does not wash. when that tape came out about Adam, I told Adam everything. My question, of course, was then to the kids, what did she tell Adam? And then somehow, and I do know it was about drugs, and it was involved with throwing drugs away. I know that the students knew they were going to be shaken down. That I know, for the drugs being missing or the money being missing. I know that. The kids all know that, but they didn't expect them to be killed. I don't think anybody expected them to be killed.
So I told Adam everything. I think it has to do with they threw away drugs. I mean, Maddie was done with it and threw away whatever it was that needed to be thrown away. I don't know what it was, but I believe it was thrown away in a garbage can next door. And I think the girls were waiting until they were both done to report to the police, or maybe what they had learned.
Yeah.
And I think she maybe told Adam that, not realizing Adam would tell
somebody else, which Adam and Jack were roommates, folks. So understand that there's a very grand possibility that's what was passed along in that sense. So
that's my understanding of what occurred.
Right, and that this is all very speculative theory, folks. Don't take any of this.
And the FBI has that, and so does the defense. I've told the defense called me when they called me. They asked me questions about that, and I told the FBI that immediately too.
Right, and also in that same walk conversation that was recorded, Jack Showalter says something to Maddie that nobody can clearly verify what it was.
I think he was warning. He said, "You better be careful, Maddie. They're gonna get you."
That's a good point.
Unless it was a purposeful leak. Maybe somebody leaked it on purpose.
On purpose to make a point, yeah. That and
or to get information out of people.
That's another point. Yeah, I don't, like I said, nothing's off the table.
I don't think Jack DeCourt hurt anybody. I don't think he hurt I think he loved Carrie. I think that all of these children likely could have stopped it from happening by saying something to somebody, their parents. I think they were all sucked into something that was way bigger than them. That's what I think. If I think any of these kids are guilty, that's what I think. They're guilty of being naive.
Damn, that was a well done, put together video. Fucking awesome job. Whole lot of shit in one. This is, I'm going to share this link with you guys. This is the harsh reality video. I'm going to go ahead and play this real quick. And let me switch this also. Give me 1 second. Make sure I get the content credit up there too. Now, this is the video that Jesse was discussing about the Ken Mains. Now, when it comes to the Ken Mains video, I'd actually have to dig through it and see exactly what video that is. So I'm going to use Harsh's video here discussing this. And then after this, I'm going to go ahead and shut down the show, and we will get everything ready for later tonight. And then I'm going to go hang out on Dago's chat. And if he wants me on panel, I'll hop up there too. But I'm going to go there and support him in chat at minimum. Yeah, great video. Great video. Oh, there was one I wanted to... Here, you know what I'm going to do? Here's the link for this. I think I already put it in chat. But anyway, because I don't want to drag this out too long, I wanted to show Unravel's video from last night, actually. So here's the link to this one. If you want to watch this, we will get into this harsh reality video maybe in the beginning of the episode tonight. I will play that, but I do want to play Unravel's video. 1 second. Because I've been wanting to play that since last night. Let's see. Where did it go? I think I have to go to my actual... Ooh, hold on. I'll just do this. Okay, here's that. What, play? You know what? Do that one later? Yeah. You know what? I'll do that. Here's her channel. Let's do that. I'll play her video in the beginning of tonight's episode. I'll play this one right now. Yeah, we'll do that. And then we'll be shutting it down. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me during the daytime. I appreciate that. Got to finish up a couple things with the vehicle in between. I'll see what's up with Dago here after this show.
Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you are all well on this fabulous, fabulous Thursday.
And I want to say thank you again, Jesse, for hopping up here and hanging out on the panel today. I appreciate you, bro.
So we got over the hump day together, and you all look absolutely amazing. Christina Randall, look, I know I borrowed the Yala Are My Babies, but look, you've had meat and potatoes, and now you're using hump day. Just admit it. You love harsh. Anyway, straight into the meat and potatoes, because we're going to be talking about something today. And look, I saw that Ken Mains had done a video. And look, this ain't a hate track on Ken Mains. You know, I've got a lot of respect for the guy. He clearly knows what he's talking about. He has been part of and built up a foundation that is one of the most successful in their field. And, you know, he seems like a good guy. He seems like a good guy. And, you know, he doesn't have his comments turned on, so you can't ever challenge him. But to be honest, I could appreciate some of the comments he'd likely to get. He's probably had them in the past and just thought, you know what, fuck this, I ain't dealing with it. So he's just turned them off. But he was specifically talking yesterday about the fact that the defense has said, look, there's no DNA found. There's no DNA found in Brian Coburg's apartment, in, you know, anything, in his car. And Ken Mains had turned around and said, look, when you hear that there's a knife sheath, you're like, oh, he's guilty. When you hear that there's no DNA in the car, everyone's like, oh, but he could. And he kind of, his stance on that was very clear in that didn't really change anything. It didn't really change anything. And is it unusual to be in that situation where this person has gone in, supposedly done this heinous crime, and then got in the car, driven home, or got driven wherever, and there's no DNA found anywhere? And he was kind of, well, it's normal. It doesn't change my thoughts and feelings at all. But there's an issue with that, and that is that I'm coming to this from someone who is not, you know, a professional in his field, but I believe that I am coming from the perspective of someone who could appear on a jury. And what I think in terms of Ken Mains currently is Ken Mains has got the same, or I believe he's got the same information than what we have. And he's falling into the same realms as someone like Jennifer Coffin Dodger. And that is that they are ex-law enforcement but they're very, very firm in supporting law enforcement. And when they do a discussion, they miss out loads of stuff. They miss out loads of bits in order to try and ballast their opinion on a point. And in the courtroom, that is not going to be the case. It's not where the defense gets to shut up and they don't say anything and they just have to sit quietly in the corner and watch all this play out. This is going to be where the prosecution has their say, and then the defense can actually challenge what's being said. So, like I've said, Ken Mains has his comments turned off, so nothing is challengeable. So I don't see how he challenges and tackles arguments. He just puts his point of view across and misses out all of the other bits that surround it, such as not only did they not find DNA, but it would appear that they didn't find any, how can I say, any evidence that there ever was DNA. And what they're trying to say there is, in the event that something is cleaned, there would be evidence that something was cleaned, wouldn't there? That's what happens. You know, if Brian Koberger has got into this vehicle and he has got DNA on him, then he would need to clean that with specific products. Some of them products leave evidence that can be traced through the likes of luminol and so on and so. Even the smell, if you're using bleach is going to smell, isn't it? And I don't think you can
Thank you so much for that super sticker, Melly Mel. I appreciate that. Little kitty just looks like he's sleeping and then kind of waking up for a minute with a smile. I appreciate that. And thank you so much. And thank you everybody for hanging out today. I really appreciate it. We'll be back tonight. More Grub Truck timestamps. We'll be doing the final show on that tonight.
Use bleach on fabrics and certain,
but there's
even
plenty
leathers
more.
Now. I was in the leather trade. I worked in mid-level management for retail that specialized in furniture. I know a lot about the furniture trade inside cars and so on and so forth, and the fact that a lot of leathers, if you touch them with something that's as abrasive as bleach, is going to strip the color out. After the legislation led them to using water-based paints instead of oil, they weren't any longer allowed to thickly coat and lacquer leathers, so there is no protection, so it makes them more susceptible to cleaning. Anyway, I digress. The point being, there was not only no DNA, but there was no evidence that the car had been cleaned to remove DNA. And that is something that in the court, obviously, the defense can raise. And they can turn around and say, look, is it... If Brian entered into this home and done this heinous crime, how could he have cleaned his car specifically? Because I suppose the apartment and, you know, his parents' home and so on and so forth, that would be a little bit more difficult, especially if he was dressed in some protective garment. But even Ken Mains had turned around and said, I don't feel that he entered the home in any protective garments. He could have prepped the car, certainly. He could have put a seat cover on it. He could have, you know, he could have done something to the car. And that's the only thing from my perspective that I think, look, if this was premeditated, then could he have prepped the car to a point where it would have been unlikely to find something in there? And that is, if I was the prosecution, that is something that I would perhaps investigate and certainly put towards the jury as an acceptable possibility for a lack of DNA. But then you could argue that by doing so, would that have then led Brian into a false sense of security? And then would it have been more likely ultimately to find DNA unless he put all the covers down and then just decided to give it a rigorous clean that there's no evidence of either? It's a difficult one that's not quite a straight cut. And I do feel, from my layman's perspective, and if I was sitting on a jury, that that would be important. And I think Ken misses the point that he has trained law enforcement and is only given half of the story, and I'm coming at it from a juror who I would feel at this stage, or certainly throughout this process, I would be privy to additional information that would make me question it. And what do I mean by that? Again, I touched on like touch DNA, for instance. At the moment, what we're trying to think of is, well, he's got a knife sheath that just happens to have touch DNA. But I went over and said, look, that could be on there from if I shake someone's hand, they then go and shake someone's hand. That person then goes and buys a knife, or they have a knife sheath at home. They then sell that on eBay, and it goes on to someone else, and it ends up with my touch DNA, and it's 3 people down the trot. And that's, again, probable. I feel that for this to all kind of fall into place, you would have to join all the dots. There's lots of dots, but these dots don't join up properly. It's like the car on CCTV. If that picture that what we've seen is the only one,
right,
as people have quite rightly pointed out through the comments and challenged, that car is not 100% an Elantra. Could it be? It certainly could, and I've shown variations of that picture and how you can alter the aspect of an Elantra picture and make them match to a degree. But there's lots and lots of questions. But I just find it very interesting that Ken Maines, who's ex-law enforcement, he's got the experience that he has, he's still only willing to kind of support what law enforcement say, and he's not open to discussing beyond the issues. He's not willing to then question why there would be 2 officers who
cleaning agents detected,
are claiming to be specialists, and that's why they're interviewing people on the scene.
And that's why I bring up the coffee cup, about the transfer of everything. And yeah, there was no cleaning agents detected either. There was no victim's DNA found. There would have to be. Think about it. Is whether you have your vents turned on or not. As soon as you turn your car on, that air is circulating. Whether you want it to circulate or not, it's happening. It's the minute particles. It's literally. That's why I said these investigators, they're gonna rip the car apart. I'm sure they ripped the car apart. And you're talking about places, unless you rip the car apart, you can't clean.
Or they're attending an autopsy with autopsy paperwork that then vanishes off the face of the planet. In a quadruple homicide, the police officers are attending the autopsy, and the paperwork for said autopsy is no longer available. And just so happens that the 2 officers that we speak of, their sworn statements read identical, literally word for word. The only part of that doesn't match, and there are kind of variances in, is surrounding the aforementioned knife sheath. And these are going to be things that are brought up. And I don't think it's as clear cut as what an ex-law enforcement individual believes. Because again...
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we're all from a different grain. You know what I mean? I don't think the car would look like... I mean, especially if there's no trail going out. You don't know how this person exited the scene of the crime, right? As far as we know. And there's a lot of nooks and crannies that would not have DNA, but there's also nooks and crannies that would. And if you can find 20 skin cells on a knife sheath, I think you would have been able to find 20 skin cells in a vehicle somewhere. But really, it's all up to interpretation until the facts come out, and whether it's trial or documents that get released. Anything's possible. You know what I mean? Anything's possible. So I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out this morning, this early afternoon. I'll be back tonight. We'll be doing the Grub trucks timestamps. I'm just kind of going through everything, chilling back. Tomorrow night, I will be doing a head coach football game. If you want to hang out for that, 7:15 Central tomorrow night, 7:30 Central or Eastern. I'm sorry, 7:15 Eastern tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern tonight. We be going into the Grub truck. So, want to say thank you all. Hope you have a peaceful and positive day. I'll see you guys later tonight, and thank you so much for hanging out with us this morning and this early afternoon. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you over on Dago's if you're going to Dago's. And thank you, everybody. See you tonight.